card. We've made the whole thing happen. If you'd like to join us, it's easy. 1-800-TALKNET. Let's go down to Atlanta and see what's cooking. Hello there.
Hi, Bruce.
Hello there.
Talking with you is like talking with an old friend.
Well, that's very, very kind of you, because that's probably the greatest compliment you can pay a talk show host.
Well,
True.
thank you. We hear you every night.
Thank you, ma'am. What's on your mind?
Well, we've got a slight problem. Back in mid-June, my husband and I were involved in an automobile accident.
Mm-hmm.
It was not our fault. The other party was at total fault.
Okay. Was anybody injured?
Yes, I was.
How badly?
Some broken bones, bruises, cartilage damage.
Okay, this is a good one.
Yes, it's a good one.
All right.
But our problem right now is that we are having a problem with the other party's insurance company.
How long ago was this? Don't give me months. How many months ago?
It was mid-June.
How many months ago was that? A couple of months ago, a month ago?
Well, it's just about a month ago.
Well, it's nothing to me right now. That doesn't mean anything.
I know, but what is happening, our car is an 87 import, was considered a total loss by the insurance company.
By their insurance company or yours?
Their insurance company.
Do you have collision insurance?
Yes, we do.
All right, go ahead.
But the body shop that had possession of the car after the accident started repairs on it.
Did you want to get it repaired?
We did not. We did not give permission at all to have it repaired.
But that isn't really my question. Do you want to have it repaired?
We would prefer that the car be totaled.
All right, then fine.
Because it sustained approximately $4,000 of damage.
What's the car worth?
Approximately $5,000.
Well, that might not be a total, but go ahead. Depends on how much they get out of it for salvage.
But anyway, the body shop started repairs without anyone's authorization. Now they have the insurance company has sent us a check for the payment on the car.
For how much?
For $36,000. And
this is your company or their company?
Their company.
And are you agreeable to taking $36,000?
We did not want the car repaired.
That wasn't my question. You see, it doesn't work that way.
No, because
let's take a deep breath. You see, here's the thing. If you agreed to $3,600.
We did not.
Well, wait a minute. If you agreed. You have no obligation to have the car repaired. You can go out and junk it and put both checks in your pocket. Fair enough? Or, alternatively, you could have it fixed. Or the final alternative is $36,000 isn't enough, fellas. I want you to give me a check for the entire car and you salvage the thing.
They sent the check to us as full settlement for this damage.
But you didn't agree to that.
We did not agree with it, but they said we will have to accept it.
That's nonsense.
That's what I said.
You don't have to accept anything. That's a lot of crap.
That's what I said.
You have a couple of alternatives here. One, you can collect from your own insurance company. Pay the deductible and let them go after these guys. Secondly, how did the car get to this body shop? I don't mean physically, but who chose the place to send it?
Well, we were very close by. I was taken by...
All I want to know is who chose the place.
The record driver suggested it.
All right, so they sent it there.
Yes.
Now, it's been there for quite some time. Has anybody been in contact with these people?
We have been in contact with them on a weekly and sometimes twice weekly basis.
All right, you've agreed to pay storage charges and all that sort of thing.
Well, they have not mentioned that to us.
Well, generally speaking, that's part of it. You got to pay storage if you don't have it repaired.
Well, it's been partially repaired.
How much?
It's about halfway repaired.
Well, I'd go to them and say, fellas, we've got a real problem here. Because I don't want the car repaired. And furthermore, I ain't going to pay you. Now, what you might want to do is say to these guys, look, we got a bad situation here. Here's what I'll do. I'll sell you the car for $1,300. And then you go out and put your repairs in and you sell it. That would be the most reasonable. You say, you have no authorization to repair that car. None. Zero.
He claims that the insurance company gave him the authorization.
They don't have any, but they have no right to give that authorization.
They said that they did not.
Well, you say, you settle out with the insurance company, but you got a car. Now, I think the cleanest thing to do is give me a check for $1,300, and you can go out and repair it. You bought a car for $13,000 plus whatever you got to put in it, and you go out and sell it.
Well, when they offered to give us the total value of the car, they offered us a base price of $5,400.
Well, how do we get down to $37,500?
Well, that's what they said that it would take to repair it.
I would go back to the insurance company and say, I never authorized any repairs. Now, the three of us ought to sit down and get this thing hassled out. Either you guys can pay it, and you can salvage it, they can salvage it, but I'm not going to salvage the car. Otherwise, I'll just let the thing sit there, and I'll make this all part of my bodily injury suit.
My husband is determined that he's going to take the car as is, and I'm not.
What do you mean as is?
Well, he wants it repaired.
Oh, wait a while. Why is that?
I mean, what I'm saying, he's just tired of arguing back and forth with it.
He can do that, too.
But we don't want it. He's just at that point where he's ready to give up.
Well, you shouldn't give up, then. I told you you've had the alternatives.
I know. That's what I'm trying to tell him as well.
Well, those are the alternatives. The cleanest way would be to have them buy the car from you, the repair shop. That'd be the cleanest thing. They fix it, they sell it.
Well, they fixed it without anybody's authorization.
That is history.
I know.
That's meaningless unless we go to court.
I know.
But I would talk to I'd make the offer that I just mentioned to you. If they don't go for that, you can call the insurance company and say, you want to hassle out with them? I'm not taking the car's going to stay there. Hey, you're only $1,300 out right now.
Well, it's from the 36 to the 54, which they...
Well, we don't know if it's 54.
That's what they offered us on the total loss.
I understand that. All right, so you're out $1,800.
Mm-hmm.
Most of it, you're $1,750. Most of it you got in your pocket. And that could be litigated.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't accept the car if I were you. Yeah, of course, you have another asset here, too. You got the title of the car.
Yes, I know.
Now, I don't know how much of they can do with getting a garage lien against you and so on and so forth. Do you have an attorney representing the bodily injury?
Our attorney is on vacation.
Well, how long?
We've been trying to contact him for several days.
Well, I mean, this will keep for a week or two.
Yes, I know.
Well, I'll let your attorney handle it from that point, but that's the case. I'd offer the deal to the body guy and say, here's the deal. I don't think my attorney's going to like this much because I think it's too generous, but I'll take $1,300 cash. You own a car. But when my attorney comes back, all bets are off. See what the others say.
Okay. I really appreciate it. I told my husband we weren't doing anything till we talked with you.
Aren't you sweet? I do wish you well.
Okay, thanks a lot.
Are you healing?
Beg your pardon?
Are you healing?
No, I've still got quite a bit of damage.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
Thank you for your concern.
Take good care.
Okay, bye-bye.
Well, at least, the lady is talking. That's, boy, we worry about airplanes and stuff. A couple hundred people every weekend get killed in cars. I'm Bruce Williams. This is Talknet. We go to Washington, D.C. Hello there.
Hi, Bruce.
Hi.
I want to thank you for making nice guys learn how to finish first.
Thank you very much. A lot of nice guys do finish first.
Well, I hope so. I'm learning how to do it at any rate.
Cliche. What's on your mind?
Well, I am 31 years old, and I got a reasonably solid job. I'm doing okay. Been at it 3 years, and I got a pesky student loan that I'm really sick of paying on, and I'm just wondering the best way of going about trying to get rid of it.
Pay it.
Just pay it off?
Pay it off.
Yeah. The complication, I guess, is what's making me think about paying it off is the possibility of buying a house.
Well, what's the interest rate in the student loan? Probably pretty low.
It's right at 9, I think.
Well, it's not a great bargain.
No, how much do you, it's also a graduated payment thing. So
how much do you owe?
I owe about $15,000. Mm-hmm. And that's what I get for going to a big Ivy League school.
Well, but you're getting paid for because you went to the Ivy League school today, aren't you?
Well, that's a fact.
I mean, you made an investment in you. Can you think of a better one?
Nope.
One that'll be paying dividends 30 years from now? 40 years from now?
I hope so.
Well, of course. I don't have any problem with that. Now, what are you earning a year?
Between 25 and 30.
Well, and you're gonna have to live with this student loan for a while.
You think so?
Yeah, I don't see how you can pay it off unless you've got a lot of money stashed someplace you didn't tell me about.
Well, no, I don't. I got a little bit of a chunk in the bank, but that's what I was wondering about. I was wondering about this house, and if it's possible, I guess I've fallen victim to late night real estate programs and read some of the stuff that
Be very careful, my friend.
Yeah,
very careful. The real estate market today is treacherous.
It really is. It really is. I just wonder though, because interest rates are going down, and it's a buyer's market, if it might be wise to try to get into something.
Oh, I didn't say. Are you going to stay? Are you married? Single? What?
I'm single.
All right. Are you going to stay in Washington?
As far as I know, yeah. Just stay here and do my job.
Well, no, the point being, you see, if you were subject to transfer or you thought in the next 2 or 3 years you're going to get moved around, then the buying would be not wise.
They wouldn't pay.
No.
Okay.
If you know you're going to stay there for 3, 4, 5 years, it may pay. Only worry. What are you paying in rent today?
There, I got a real great deal, about $200 a month.
Well, in that case, it wouldn't pay to buy.
I'll be done.
Because your payments on a decent condo are around $800-900 a month.
Yeah, they really are.
All right, so look at the difference of $200 to $900, or say $800.
Right.
That's $600. That's $7,200 a year. I don't think your equity is going to increase by that kind of a number.
No, that's a lot of jack.
Taking taxes into account.
Yeah. What about if it's a sweat equity position? You know, where you can get
Well, you see, that's a little different matter. If you could go out and buy a duplex or a triplex and really work your buns off and whatever, and have income, I have no quarrel with that.
Okay.
But right now, the income you've described, I think you have a tough time handling a condo in your area.
Yeah. Probably so. It's a single-standing house, and it really needs a lot of work. And I just thought it might be possible in the next 18 months to go in and work my hiney off and be able to flip it.
That may be, but I'd be more comfortable with a 2 or 3 family.
Do you think?
Yes,
Just
sir.
because you can get some rent on it?
Absolutely. No, just because. Yes, that's it. End of story.
Yeah.
I do wish you well, kid.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks so much for your call. I'm Bruce Williams. You bet. This is Talknet.
It's toll-free, 1-800-825-5638. 1-800-TALKNET.
Oshkosh, Wisconsin. Hello there.
Hi.
Hi.
I'm calling. I got fired from my job.
You didn't. What kind of a job did you have?
I was an optician.
And why did they can you?
I believe it was because I was pregnant. And I wondered if you thought I had any recourse.
Well, what makes you believe that was... How long did you work there?
Approximately 4 to 5 months.
Well, you were a new hire then.
Yeah.
Why do you suppose that they let you go? Forget it, you say because of your pregnancy. What makes you believe that?
Well, she went on vacation.
She, meaning your supervisor?
Yes.
Yeah.
My manager. She went on vacation. Before she left, she had told me that she'd be writing up my papers for a raise when she got back. She came back, and the first day she was back, she fired me and hired the girl that used to work there that got fired from her job.
You mean you got fired from a different job?
Yeah, she got fired from a different job, and she got hired back there.
Why do you suppose she hired this other girl? Were they friends?
Yeah. She lived with my uncle for about 10 years.
Who lived with... The girl lived with your uncle?
My boss, which would have been the supervisor.
Your supervisor lived with your uncle?
Yeah.
I mean, this is a love relationship we're talking about.
Right.
And
the other girl that lost her job and got hired back when I got fired was her cousin. And her and my uncle split up. and then I notified her that I was pregnant, and then she fired me.
Well, you got quite a combination there. She's not exactly happy with your family, and she's got a relative looking for a job. I don't think it has a whole lot to do with your pregnancy.
Okay.
Now, what reason did she give?
She didn't really give reasons. My clothes were one.
Well,
and they were maternity clothes.
Let's back up a little bit, shall we?
Okay.
Here she comes back from vacation, all tanned and whatever, right? She walks in and says, "You're fired." Is that the way it worked, or did she have some preamble or whatever?
Yeah, she had a little bit.
Well, tell me. I just want to get an idea what's going on. Tell me about it.
She told me that my clothes weren't sufficient. At the time when she had told me that, she had on a tank top in the doctor's office.
A tank top?
And
that's about as inappropriate as one can get.
Yeah, and I had on a maternity blouse. She had told me that I wasn't selling enough, which I was selling more than the girl that she hired back.
Well, how do you know that?
She told me that.
I mean, well, she wasn't selling at the moment. Go ahead.
She was, though. She used to work there.
Oh, for used to. That's past tense.
Took a different job, and then she came back when I got fired.
Yeah, okay.
She told me I was doing very well.
Yeah.
Until I told her I was pregnant.
Yeah.
And it seems funny to me that she could say I was doing very well and then just fire me.
Well, it would occur. Well, maybe so. How pregnant are you, hon?
About 7 months right now.
You're pretty pregnant.
Yep.
Did you plan on coming back to work after you deliver?
Yeah.
And she knew that?
Yep.
Sounds to me like she needed a job for her cousin. And couple that with the fact that her boyfriend was in your family and he's history now. In your state, can you now collect disability?
No, not that I know of.
You sure? Because many states, if you're pregnant, under your unemployment.
I have unemployment.
Well, but then you can have that switched over to disability.
Oh.
Because being pregnant is considered a disability.
Okay.
We could argue about that, but that's a whole other matter. I doubt, seriously. I mean, look, I could be wrong, and you want to discuss this with your Department of Labor, but you were there a short time. I would suspect that she could come up with reasons why she let you go. Not necessarily legitimate reasons or real reasons. If I were you, I'd collect, have that youngster, have a good, healthy kid, and I'd look elsewhere. With your talent, she shouldn't have any trouble getting a job. I'm Bruce Williams. This is Talknet. Mr. Stu Bell is in the control room on a skateboard answering the phones, working those little old dials, potentiometers, and that good stuff to make the thing go, with his David Letterman T-shirt on, would you believe? Everything was fine till I saw that. Okay, I'm going to Seattle, Washington. It's your turn. Hello there.
Hi, this is Seattle.
Yes, Seattle, go.
This is Patty in Seattle. Bruce, I just wanted to tell you that last fall I had a whole bunch of weight to lose, and I couldn't see how I was going to do it. So I set up a reward for myself. If I lost the weight, I would have courage enough to call Bruce Williams.
Oh, I'll be darned.
Which I haven't had up till now. Anyway, today's the day, Bruce. I'm 100 pounds lighter.
Congratulations. That's
Thank you.
Super. How did you do it?
Medically supervised.
Like the liquid diet?
Partially,
or
yes.
Partial liquid, like one meal a day, that kind of stuff?
Yes, sir.
That's a great way to go.
And it's just been super. I've never felt better. I've never looked better. I'm a size 10, and this old broad in Seattle is happy.
Terrific. How much did you weigh?
How much did I weigh?
Yeah, did. Past tense.
238.
By golly, you're now down to a svelte 138, huh?
Hey, I am sexy. I'm going to be the world's oldest matron of honor in a bridal party next month.
Congratulations. I think
I'm
it's terrific.
excited about it.
You know, the big thing is that you prove to yourself that you can do it. And that, you know, you're talking to somebody who's fighting weight all his life.
Yes, sir. I felt that you were.
Yeah,
I felt that you were.
It's all my life I've been fighting. I mean, as we speak, you know, I'm back on the liquid again because I put on about 7 or 8 pounds. I got to take it back off again.
I know it, and I guess that's the answer is we got to take it off to 7 or 8 pounds and not let it get to 100.
Well, that's the problem because then it gets so far ahead of you that you get discouraged.
You got that right. I've been discouraged for 10 years. It took me 10 years to get that kicked out of shape.
Well, I am very pleased for you, and I thank you for sharing.
Thank you, and thank you for being on Cairo.
You're a sweetheart. Enjoy that wedding.
Thank you, Bruce.
You know, a significant portion of America is overweight. Takes a fat man to know him. You know, here I am. Stu was overweight for a time. Stu, what'd you weigh? 260. Well, I had you beat. I weighed 272 at one time. 272, and I wasn't a professional football player either, like you. And well, I weighed it when I wasn't playing football, but that's a whole other program. But yeah, I managed to get rid of a bit of that, and I sympathize with those who are having a problem. But it can be done. It ain't easy. That's the part. There's no really easy way to lose weight. If it came, what's her face? Cher. She has a great commercial. I've mentioned this many times. I think it's for Bally, for Jack LaLanne, which Bally owns. And she's in there sweating, glowing. Women don't sweat, they glow. She's in there puffing and grunting and growing. And she looks good, let's face it. And she said if it came in a bottle, everybody could look this way. It's true. There's just no easy way that I know of. There's some aids and that sort of thing. That's fine. But there's no easy way. I'm Bruce Williams. Stick around for Talknet. Let's go to Mickey Mouse World, one of my favorite places, Orlando, Florida. Hello there.
Hi, Bruce. How are you today?
I'm well. What's on your mind?
What's on my mind is something I'd like to be able to do. For example, I have a home that I own in Orlando, and if I want to take a vacation to, let's say, to Honolulu.
You're in Florida.
Right. To, say, Honolulu, to San Diego, to maybe to Puerto Rico.
Yeah.
Is there any service, like for example, that they have with the timeshare exchange? They have similar service, but for...
Well, let's not call it similar if you want to do something with your house, because you know my opinion of timeshares.
You don't like them?
No, I don't.
Yeah.
But yes, there are several companies, call it what you will, I'm not sure of the proper term, and you can find them in the reference section of your library that arrange for people to swap houses, and then, of course, they get a fee from both sides.
Sure, I'd be happy to pay a fee.
They can also swap cars, even.
Oh.
You leave your car there, assuming everything is equal, and, if you have a house full of very precious bric-a-brac, you want to be a little careful with that sort of thing. But, yeah, there are a couple, 3 companies or agencies that arrange house swaps, not only domestically, but from across the pond. Or you can get an apartment in London, and they take yours and go see the mouse, and you're in pretty good shape. How far are you from the mouse world?
Not more than 15 minutes.
Well, that would be a major attraction.
Yeah, I have the brand new house, close to the attractions, close to the airport.
Yeah.
Prime location for Orlando.
Yeah, why don't you flip on down to the public library reference section? They can give you the name of the companies.
Okay.
It's a little late for this year, though.
Yeah, I'm just thinking in the future.
Yeah, sure. It's good for both sides.
So, from your opinion, is it usually the person, I go to their house and they go to my house?
Exactly.
Kind of the way it works.
That's not kind of. That is exactly how it works.
Okay.
Take good care.
Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.
They are generally speaking not a couple of days, though. They're a couple of weeks as a minimum, as my understand it. Richmond, VA, it's your turn on Talknet. Hello there.
Bruce, my husband and I enjoy listening to you every night over WXGI.
Yes, indeed.
We have a letter here from San Antonio, Texas, telling us how we can make $50,000 in 20 to 30 days.
Gee, that's kind of a long time. You wouldn't work for 20 days for a lousy $50,000, would you? Nah.
It sounds like the old chain letter to me, but it says it isn't, that it is legal.
Yeah, what's it say? Tell me.
You send $2 to each of 6 names that are on the bottom of this list.
Yeah, why are we sending them the money?
Why?
Yeah, why?
You're sending it to them, then you make 100 copies of this letter and add your name, and then you're supposed to get back $50,000.
And it doesn't sound like a chain letter, huh?
That's
what would you call it?
That's what I think it is, the old chain letter, but they say no, that it is legal. And they will even print the letters for you with your name on and
nice.
Send the envelopes and everything to you for only $63.50.
Oh, my! But yes, I wonder why they just don't spend $12 and send in $12 and get back $50,000.
Yeah.
Be a lot cheaper than sending $62, wouldn't it?
That's what I would think.
This is it. The old stuff, and I keep repeating myself. My old man used to talk to me, he'd say, if it smells like a duck and walks like a duck and quacks and has feathers, kid, you got yourself a duck. And this is a duck.
Real?
No, it's a chain letter, pure and simple. It's illegal, and I'm going to say more important, but certainly parallel to that does. Hartford, Connecticut, my granddad's or great-great-great-granddad's hometown. Hello there.
Hi, Bruce.
Hello there.
Thank you very much for taking my call.
Well, I'm very happy that you're here.
Actually, you had visited Hartford a few months back.
Yes, I remember, and as a matter of fact, it was my namesake's parade, Thomas Hooker's parade that day. And my middle name is Hooker. I'm related to the gentleman.
Wow.
What's on your mind?
I have a question in reference to a commission chargeback case that I had placed almost 2 years ago, actually with an insurance company.
You mean you placed the business, you mean?
Correct.
Go ahead.
I'm in personal production insurance and investments. I'm independent. And over 2 years ago, I placed the case. It was on a monthly payment mode, $4,000 a month, so it was a substantial case, survivorship life.
Okay, it's a life policy, all right.
Correct. Annual premium was $48,000. It was being paid monthly, and after 5 months of premium payments, the client ran into a financial bind, and the insurance company actually had annualized the commission payment to myself. The consultant that was...
You got the whole commission?
Up front.
And they never got, and the policy lapsed after roughly halfway through.
Well, correct. Actually, in the 5th month, a consultant allowed the client to put it into a hold status in hopes that he would be able to bounce back and recover and get the program reestablished.
Consultant, you mean employee of the insurance company?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. And in the middle of the whole transaction, the consultant at the insurance company ended up leaving, and in error, it maintained a hold status in that policy. And a year and a half later, the insurance company picked up on the mistake and came back to me and said that there's a substantial chargeback coming, and I'm going to need to cut them a substantial check of $12,000. And that was
how much commission did you collect to receive?
Total?
Yeah.
Approximately $19,000.
And if the commission were appropriately paid based upon the relatively short time that it was in force, how much would you have been paid?
Could you repeat that question?
Yeah, in other words, you got paid 19 with the assumption that the first year premium was going to get paid.
Correct.
But didn't get paid.
Correct.
All right, so there was about, what was the number of 5 months, $20,000 premium paid. Is that correct?
Approximately.
All right, what would your commission have been on the 20 grand?
Well, they had annualized it for the entire first year and paid me the $19,000, and then now they're looking for the $12,000 returned to them.
Is that what the appropriate amount would be?
Yeah, the amount is appropriate.
Well, I don't know that there's... did you ask them to annualize it?
No, I didn't.
You have a contract with them?
Correct.
What does the contract say about contracts that are improperly paid and so on? Not improperly paid, but that it lapse or whatever.
The agent would have to return that commission to the insurance company.
Oh, there you are.
When the phone call came in, I asked them to put some documentation, because at that point there were actually 2 policies that were on that program, and there were details that I didn't have access to, and I asked them to provide me with the documentation, and that was in September. And after the phone call, I never received anything. And now in January, they're coming and bringing it back up all over again. And again, I have no documentation.
I can go right back to them and say, I'd like to cooperate with you.
Mm-hmm.
This is what I requested 5 months ago. Haven't received it yet. I'm still waiting.
And this is now 2.5 years into it.
I'm not sure that means very much. But there may be some statutory limitation that you want to, and you might want to explore that with your attorney.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that. Do you still have a relationship with this company?
At this point, very little business that I place with them.
Well, for obvious reasons.
No, unrelated to that, actually.
Then why? I'm just curious.
I was in a position to work with, through a new brokerage arrangement that I had, to work with a total of 25 companies, and the need to work with that particular company just wasn't what it used to be.
Okay. Well, I think I just go back to them with the same response that you did before. I can't make a judgment unless you give me the backup. I don't know what it is you're looking for. It's not important.
Well, the chargeback documentation.
All right, well, then I asked
were involved, the percent.
Well, fine. I mean, but these are all technical things the rest of us are not interested in.
Right.
The point is, I'd ask for that, and you say, there's no way that I can reach accommodation with you guys unless you provide the data that I'm asked for.
Mm-hmm.
And then just wait and see what happens.
Okay.
I do wish you well with it, guy.
Thank you very much for taking my call.
It's been a joy. That's tough, though. You know, you break your buns, you put the deal together, and then something happens and the whole thing falls apart. That is not easy when you're a commission salesman. I'm Bruce Williams. Bay City, Michigan. Hello there.
Hi, Bruce.
Hi.
Thanks for taking my call.
Well, I'm very pleased that you're here. Tiger, what's on your mind?
Well, hoping to tap into your vast store of wisdom.
Boy, the well is a little bit dry here. Go ahead.
Bruce, I've got a rental property that I'm in the process of selling, and I've got quite a few tenants with some delinquent rents, if you would. I'm just wondering how I can go about collecting these, short of trying to talk the new owners into picking them up.
Why would the new owner do that?
Well, good question.
Well, give me a good answer.
Yeah, I don't have a good answer for that, but I'm wondering what kind of recourse I have to do that on my own.
Well, first of all, how far are these people into you?
Oh, some just a month or two. I've got a couple that had some real problems that we were lenient with, so we've got about $13K worth of delinquent rents. Maybe a dozen people.
Very realistic now.
Yeah.
Now, hold on now. What do you really believe of the 13,000 is genuinely, positively collectible? Now, realistically, I didn't ask you what you wanted.
Well, I have a security deposit from these folks, which I may be able to claim against. I'm not even sure about doing that. That's something that may have to be...
You can't claim against the security deposit, but then that may mean that you're going to jeopardize your tenancy, and that's part of what you're selling the new guy, aren't you?
Well, that's true. That's true.
But that's a matter, look, that's not a matter of conjecture. That's a matter for your attorney to answer. Security deposit is just that.
Mm-hmm.
To ensure that people pay. We're not talking about a damage deposit, we're talking about a security deposit. And that is to ensure that you get paid. Now, but you want to talk to your attorney about that. Can you, before the sale, I don't want to use the word confiscate comes to mind, but attach or in some way the security deposit. How many units are there in this building?
66.
Well, you got to come up with a security deposit on the other units and pass it along to the new owner, do you not?
That's correct.
Well, I just would want to know if you could attach the others.
Mm-hmm.
And does that jeopardize their tenancy because you have to have one? And there's your questions for your attorney, not for me.
All right.
But you did avoid one of my questions. Rascal, I said, realistically, how much that's 13 grand? Put it another way. If I walked up with cash, how much would make you happy as a pig with a snoot in the throat if I said I'll buy them from you?
Oh, I'd probably be happy for 50% of that.
I'll bet you would.
Mm-hmm.
So you might want to say to the new guy, look, I'm going to try to collect it, or if you wish, I'll give it to you for 40 cents on the dollar.
All right, that's a good idea.
See what he has to say.
Mm-hmm. The one other half of this question, capital gains. Do I, with the new tax laws, have to recapture the initial investment at 25% and then the balance at 20%?
Don't know. I don't know. I hate to sound like a broken record, but look, you're a businessman. You're obviously successful. How much is this building going to sell for?
Something 7 figures.
Okay. Well, that's a lot of money, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
That's why you can afford an accountant.
That's very true. One
that specializes in tax matters. I mean, I sat down earlier today with my guy. Said, we got to do something about this. That's what I'm always saying, though. We got to do something about this. We're paying too damn much. And he always looks at me and says, well, that's the way life is, or something like that. I mean, he's straight as a string. How did I get tight with a guy like that? But he doesn't know. Oftentimes, he has to say, well, look, I'll look that up, because the law the law is extremely convoluted, as we both know.
Yes, it is.
And just in the capital gains thing that you mentioned, I read an article where under certain circumstances, the capital gains can sink to something like 6%, and it also can go up to 28%.
Mm-hmm.
In today, I'm talking about not yesterday, this is today, depending upon all these different criteria that the government has come up with. I mean, just in the one area, if it kind of strikes me, it used to be 28% across the board. Well, now they say, but gee, if a guy only pays 15%, then 20% is no bargain for him. So let's make his capital gains 10%. Isn't that something? And that's true, is it not? What I just stated to you?
That's correct.
That's one of the things they did.
Mm-hmm.
This is the Taxpayers Relief Act. This is another addition to the Accountants and Lawyers Retirement Fund.
Boy, you hit that right on the head.
What it is. But there's little you and I are going to do about that.
Right.
You see, I'm surprised that these are questions you didn't ask of your accountant before you made the deal, because so often the deal doesn't go together unless the tax ramifications make sense, unless you just want to get out, and that's the end of that story.
Well, there's a little bit of that involved there, too.
Yeah, I've been involved in that, too. And more than one occasion. Just get me out, I don't care what I got to pay. And then when that bill comes, I scream and carry on.
Right.
But I would suggest that you see your lawyer on the one hand, unless you just discount these notes to this guy about what your rights are and responsibilities are with regard to the security deposits. And on the other issue, clearly that's a tax issue that only someone who is really knowledgeable and maybe needs some research time on your behalf can figure out. Those are the sad facts in this great world we live in. Well, hello there. How you doing? I'm delighted you stopped in. I'm Bruce Williams. Welcome. Welcome to my world. We talk to you and about you. We talk with you. We look into the things that you're doing well and maybe where you need a little change of direction. I'm Bruce Williams. My telephone number, 800-743-8000. 800-743-8000. Let's get it on together, huh? All righty. Vail, Colorado. Hello there. You're not doing much skiing this time of the year, are you?
Not this time of the year.
Okay, kid. What's on your mind?
Well, I'm looking for your advice. My husband and I are first-time homeowners, and we purchased last November, and we bought a home that had a wood-burning stove as an insert for primary heat use. It's an electric unit, and they were sold us this wood-burning stove for the main heat source.
Is that right? You went for that, huh?
And we went for that. They're actually pretty common up here, along with pellet stoves. We thought that was a great idea. So,
why did you think that was a great idea?
Well, up here, property is extremely expensive, and what we could afford, this is what we would have wanted gas. We would have wanted a two-car garage and a single-family home and all that. Mm-hmm. But because of the situation, it actually seemed like a pretty good deal.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Well, anyway.
No, the reason I'm saying that is probably the most inefficient form of heating you can find is wood burning. It is, and furthermore, it is one of the greatest in current use pollutants we got.
Right.
So you got a huge polluter sending creosote and all kinds of crap into the air, and is grossly inefficient.
Right.
I'm just curious why anybody would want that.
As it stands, we don't have it anymore.
Okay.
So we've gotten rid of it.
And electric is just about as bad.
Right. Financially.
Yeah.
So, the situation is that we bought the home under the stipulation that we thought was going to save us money. We'd have this wood-burning stove. Mm-hmm. So we signed the contract. We had a house inspector come through the house. He looked at everything, including the wood-burning stove. The disclaimer he has is that he does not actually start fires in fireplaces, but that he inspects everything else. So what he did after little knocks and dings here and there, he said needed to be repaired. He said there were some seals on the door to the wood-burning stove that need to be repaired.
This, I take it, was a previously owned home?
Yes, it was.
Okay.
And so everything was fine. We signed the contract. We moved in, thought everything had been done.
Can we're skipping along a little more quickly than I'm comfortable with.
Okay.
Now, were you represented in this matter?
We were represented. You had
an attorney.
Well, not an attorney.
Well, then you weren't represented.
Well, we had real estate agents.
If I said to you, were you wearing a bra, and you said, no, I had a barrel on, would you have a bra on?
If I did, yes.
No, if I said, were you wearing a bra, you said, yes, it was a barrel, it wouldn't be a bra, would it?
No.
Okay, you weren't represented, sweetheart. You just were not represented. You had a real estate agent. That's not a representation. Legally, he can't represent you.
So why do you need an attorney when you're purchasing a home?
For some of the reasons, it's the problems you're having right now. Because there are so many things. Well, you went to that closing, right?
We went to the closing.
How old are you?
32.
Do you have children?
No.
Oh, too bad. Who's the nearest and dearest person that you have in your life?
Well, my husband.
Fine. Will you bet his life that you understood everything you signed?
Probably not. Absolutely.
Probably not?
Absolutely not.
Damn right. Not unless you want to get rid of him. No, that's what you say. Why do I need an attorney? That's reason enough. You were in there signing stuff. You didn't have a clue what you were signing. That's for openers, okay?
For openers.
Secondly, were representations made by the owner? And if so, were they in writing?
Not by an attorney. Everything was done through
I didn't ask you by an attorney. No, hold on. I asked you if the owner made representations as to the quality and condition of various things in the home.
Yes.
In writing.
Yes.
Did we deal with the stove?
They said that things were in working.
That wasn't what I asked you. Did they deal with the stove?
Yes.
It specifically talked about the stove.
Yes, it's a checklist. They go through everything, the refrigerator, the...
Okay, and the stove, and they said the stove was in good condition.
Yes, they did.
As far as they knew.
Exactly.
Yeah, but see, that takes them right back off the hook.
Right. Well, the question is, one, is it buyer beware? Two, is it...
No, there's no buyer beware. That went out with the hoop skirt.
Well, what kind of responsibility is there laid upon the inspector that came through the home? The situation with the wood-burning stove is that after we moved in, the first time we tried to light it, we had all kinds of smoke coming into the house. So that prompted us to do a little further investigation.
And son of a gun, the flue wasn't working.
Well, the whole thing, right on the back, this is a wood stove that sets out into the room, and it has a pipe that goes back to the flue and up the chimney.
That's called a flue.
Right. Right on the back, in the metal, part of the casting of the stove, it says that this is only to be placed in a masonry firebox, which is not what we have. We have...
Improperly installed, is what you're telling me.
Exactly. In addition to many other things, which, like the angles of the pipe were incorrect, other things weren't connected properly.
It would seem to me that the inspector should bear some responsibility in those areas. You see, he says he doesn't start it, and I can understand that. Exactly. You don't start a fire in July.
Right.
But on the other side of that, if the thing was improperly installed and there was information even that even a layperson could understand to indicate that, then I think that's an omission on his part.
Okay.
I also believe, again, you see, that the real estate guy is off the hook, because all he's going to tell you it says, I took the owner at his word. That's what it comes down to.
Well,
we don't know nothing, but we're reporting what they tell us.
Right. I didn't think that the realtors had any blame in this. We didn't know if the seller did, because they reaped the financial benefit.
No, it has nothing to do with financial benefits.
Okay.
It has to do with representations.
Okay.
What they said and what they knew.
Right.
You see, let's assume that somebody said to you, what's your first name?
Suzanne.
Suzanne. They said, look, you walked into this, not this particular house, but a house. And they said, you asked specifically, is the basement dry? Now, that's not a question that gives you much room to move around in, does it?
No.
And they said, by God, Susan, we've been here 20 years, never had a problem with water. Susan and her love mate move in, and the next day there's a big rain, and the ducks are all having a convention. Now, you're very upset. You're out there with a pump and whatever, and the neighbor walks over and said, gee, it's a hell of a thing, isn't it? Every time it rains, that basement floods. Now, what do we got there? We got... Pardon?
They probably did know that.
No, well, not probably. They did know. You got a demonstration of that. Or the neighbor said, you know, they've had the XYZ waterproofing company over here 3 times, but they just wanted too much money.
Right.
And then you go to the XYZ waterproofing company, and they say, yep, by golly, we gave Mr. and Mrs. Smith 2 or 3 quotations. Now, we caught them in a lie, but more important, we can prove we caught them in a lie, didn't we? Now, so let's go back to our stove. If you could demonstrate that they went down to the AC Doocy Stove Company to have some of these problems corrected, but they wanted more money than they were willing to part with, now you got them in a lie.
Which, unfortunately, we've already ran that avenue. I asked the neighbors, they've moved since, but they were personal friends of mine. And if anybody's side they were on, they would tell me the truth.
Sure.
They said that that they did use the wood-burning stove as a heat source, and that they never mentioned to them anyway that they ever had a problem.
Well, you see, if they're ignorant of the problem, they cannot be required to disclose that which they do not know.
Okay.
It could be a terrible problem, but if they don't know, they're off the hook.
My scenario was, if you have ice on your driveway and someone slips on it, you're responsible. It's your driveway, your property.
Maybe yes, maybe no.
Yeah?
Maybe yes, maybe no.
Okay. I thought maybe they'd be responsible, even though they don't know.
No,
they
that's
sold
different.
it.
That's a different matter.
Okay.
That's an entirely different matter.
So we should possibly go after the.
If a builder sold it to you, that would be different because the builder is supposedly, we put that in big quotation marks, don't we, Suzanne?
Right.
Supposedly an expert. But you're not an expert.
Right.
You sell a house, and you've been using the wood-burning stove, and as far as you know, it's working fine.
Right.
You can't be held responsible for defects that you were not aware of.
Do you think that the inspector is responsible? We had to, the whole thing, it wasn't just the seals, the whole thing needed to be
In my opinion, if you hired an outside inspector, somebody who's a professional in that field.
We did.
And he missed he's not responsible to find out that there's a piling under the house which he has no access to that has dry rot.
Right.
Because there's no way he could figure that out.
Right.
But the stove is sitting in the middle of the room someplace. And he could have snuck around the back and looked at the pipe. He could have read the same installation thing that you read. He could have checked if he didn't know what the appropriate angles were, he could have checked that.
Right.
And he certainly could have found defective seals.
His fee was $350, but to replace the pellet stove, that was $1,000. To have it installed was $500. To have the inspectors come in after the fact to tell us, yes, indeed, you have to get rid of the wood-burning stove, it's a fire hazard, that was $250.
Oh, I think he's vulnerable.
For all of that, possibly.
Well, I didn't say all of it. I said I think he's vulnerable.
Okay.
A court's going to have to determine how vulnerable.
Okay.
Now, and I am pro-inspector. Let's start with that. And every time I talk about this, I get inspectors ticked off at me. That's okay. And I used to be the spokesman for one of the biggest inspection companies in the country. So let's get all that on the table, all right? And across on the inspection sheets for most of the companies, and I believe, and including the one that I did commercials for, they will put a disclaimer on there.
Right.
And I don't believe that disclaimer is going to stand up under grievous conditions.
Okay.
Now, and they say, well, gee, we can't afford to guarantee. I don't ask you for a guarantee, but I ask you to be thorough in your inspection.
Right.
And in those areas where you can't be thorough, then say so.
Right.
In writing, not just in a casual report to a layperson like Susan.
Right.
Or Suzanne. But in answer to one of your questions, Suzanne, why do I need a lawyer? Suzanne, if you don't know that, read my book, would you?
Okay.
I'm serious. I mean, I have so many people call this program with the damnedest stories that could have been that wouldn't have happened had they been represented.
You're saying that the lawyer should have read the contract on behalf of us before we signed a contract?
And gotten written representations from the parties involved, yes. Among other things. You see, I'm going to tell you that certainly 19 times out of 20, you'll bludgeon your way through. But that 20th time, you're liable to have your pants off and never know your belt was undone. That's the time I'm worried
being
about.
First-time homeowners, I think we assume that the realtors take care of all that, but
well,
that's the lesson
no,
learned.
the function of a real estate agent, realtor is a special word. Realtor is not a generic term. Realtor refers to an agent who belongs to a private organization, the Association of Realtors. All realtors are agents, not all agents are realtors. Okay?
Okay.
Now, what is the function of a real estate agent or a broker? And they only have one. They do ancillary stuff to facilitate a sale, but they only have one function. What is that?
Well, you got me.
To bring a buyer and a seller together.
Okay.
That's it. Everything else they do is ancillary. Some of the things gratuitous, some not. But that's their job, and they do a good job, and they earn their money, every dollar. They work hard. They do not, in the main, and there are exceptions certainly, want lawyers involved. You know why?
No.
Because lawyers will kill deals. The lawyer will say, don't go into this deal. It's a bad deal. Well, they don't get a commission under those circumstances. And I don't blame them for not wanting somebody to muddy the thing up.
Right.
But it's in your best interest, as a buyer or a seller, to be represented. You can bet your life that every document that you signed at that closing was prepared by an attorney.
Right.
Well, why not have the plumber prepare them if it doesn't matter?
Right.
You see?
Good advice.
There's a whole bunch of things. And, I don't think I'm the smartest guy in the world. In fact, I know that because I've done too many stupid things in my life. But I bought a lot of real estate, and I've sold a lot of real estate. And I have never, ever sold a piece without being represented.
Well, we're learning.
Or bought it.
That's a lot of money, and you're probably absolutely right.
The tuition can be kind of high for this school of hard knocks, can't it, kid?
Right.
Good luck with that house, honey.
Thank you very much.
I do wish you well. Sooner or later, I'm going to be successful in persuading at least one of you guys and gals to be represented when you buy a home or sell one. I'm Bruce Williams. Oklahoma, hello there.
Good evening, sir. How are you?
I am well, thank you.
Well, I want to thank you for the advice you gave me about, oh my gosh, almost 11 months ago.
What was that all about?
Oh, it was about a management contract that my brother-in-law and I signed with my father-in-law, who put up the money for my brother-in-law and I to go into the dry cleaning business in a rural western Oklahoma setting. And we've been in it now. We've been open for almost 5 months. And we've got a problem that's arisen. And I know you're going to tell me to talk to my attorney, but he is in Maui. And so I thought, well, I don't have anything else to do, so I called
He's on your nickel, too, huh?
Yeah.
Well, talk to me. What's the problem?
Okay, we are located, as you're probably well aware, in rural settings, 20, 30, 40 miles away from town to town, before you have any metropolitan, I mean 5,000 or more people. Our business is doing well, and it is, we are not yet at profitability, and so we are looking at setting up satellite operations to bring in more clothes. And there's a town about 30 miles away that we decided to go in and open a satellite operation. As a matter of fact, they came to our cleaners and requested that we work some sort of program with us, and they are subsidizing us. They're helping us monetarily.
Slow down. I'm not sure what you mean by that. I know what a satellite is. You're doing contract work for them.
Well, right. Well, we're basically just opening up a store in their town.
Yeah.
But instead of having a plant there, we just truck the clothes back to them.
Yeah, that's called a satellite store or a commission store.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. That's correct. Well, the problem is that has arisen is that we're franchised, independently owned franchise. I guess that's rhetorical or repetitive. Anyway, there was another one in another town, and they're claiming first right of refusal
on that territory. Well, let's back up a little bit. You mentioned that you are franchised by one of the big franchising companies, like Martinizing or one of those?
Equivalent of Martinizing, not quite as big, but close.
Okay, all right, fine. Now, you then have a territorial contract.
Yes, sir.
Forget about what they say their contract is for the moment.
Yes, sir.
Does your contract include this community in dispute?
No, sir.
It does not.
No, but here's my we are not operating under the name of our current business. We're operating under the name of the lease management service.
Well, hold on. In other words, this other store that you opened up over there.
Yes, sir.
Let's assume that it's the Elegante Cleaning Service. Is that a name?
Yes.
Is it really?
Sure.
I just made it up.
Well, you're speaking a little Hispaniola there.
Holy smokes. All right, let's call it the Fancy Dancy Dude Company.
That'd be great.
All right, now, that's the franchise that you have in West Undershirt over here.
Yeah.
Now, you want to open up a commission store in East Undershirt.
Yes, sir.
Under a different name altogether, under Duds R Us.
Exactly.
Well, there's not. I don't see there's any prohibition. The only thing they're going to say is, well, you're using the secret process to produce this superfine cleaning job.
You're reading their minds. That's exactly what they said. Exactly. And we just, like I say, I would have already cleared this to the attorney. The problem is state lines out here are so close together. We're operating in another state. And we have yet to retain counsel that is in that state.
Well, it's possible your attorney's licensed in both states. He
gave up his licensing for that. We had another issue that we talked about, and we needed him to operate in that state, and he goes south, but he doesn't go north.
Is that right? Wonder why.
He just said that for what it was worth, he wasn't getting enough business. And
is he a one-horse operation, or is he in a firm?
He's in a firm.
Is there
He's the founding partner of his firm.
Well, is there somebody in the firm that's licensed over there?
It's a good question. We don't. I mean, he's done everything.
Well, I understand that, but if you have other associates, it's smart to have somebody licensed over there.
I'm sure he is. I never even.
And then if you got a big case, you can apply to the court over there to be admitted for that one case under the aegis of the other guy in your firm. Stick around for a minute. We'll try and sort it out. I'm Bruce Williams. I am chatting with a gentleman in Guyman, Oklahoma. He's in the dry cleaning business, has a franchise in town A, opened up another store in town B under an entirely different trade style.
Exactly.
And the franchisee for the same company in that territory says you can't do business here, and their contention is because of and I guessed at this, but I guess I'm on point because that's the only thing I think they can attack, that you're using the cleaning process.
Exactly.
In their territory.
Right, and that we are benefiting by, we're still using the store here to do the clothes there. I mean, you're right. I mean, that's exactly what they're saying.
Well, that's the only contention they could make. I'm just looking at it. I'm trying to look at it from the perspective if I were trying to be the advocate for their side.
Right. Well, and we're not. I mean, we're not overtly concerned yet, but we are concerned because
you want to be concerned because if nothing else, they can make your life uncomfortable and expensive.
Exactly. And right now, we don't have the time. We still don't know well enough what we're doing every day to have the time to go through any kind of litigation.
Well, what did they come to you with any kind of a proposal beforehand, or did they just say get out of town, get out of Dodge kind of thing?
Okay, they were open a year before we were, and they went to the town and told the town, we're coming. We're gonna open up this commission store, and we're gonna be here, and we're gonna serve you guys. And they received a tremendous amount of business. People did have no other service in this town, and so the people were making the I think it's 64-mile round trip, and they're large.
You mean the customers were making?
Right. Well, and they never went. Well, the town that we're in has an economic development council. Well, they fund projects like ours to benefit the town and the townspeople.
Mm-hmm. How big a town is this that you're going to go into?
5,500.
And there's no dry cleaner there?
None at all. Very wealthy town, sir. Big oil and natural gas interest. Large agricultural. Of course, we're in the agricultural center of the universe out here. And of course, we just received the world's second largest hog processing facility in our own hometown. And I mean, we've just exponential growth. And everything is looking fine, but they went and told the town, well, we're coming. In 3 months, we're going to open up our own store. Well, then they said, well, it's going to be 6 months. Well, their husbands, the wives run the store. The husbands work for a large petroleum company.
Well, let's cut things to the chase, though. Right. They did not fulfill that promise or endeavor.
No, and the Economic Council gave them a certain period. They finally gave up on them, didn't hear from them for 60 days, and then they contacted us. And so we proceeded without, and we were friends until this happened. I mean, we toured each other's stores, looked at each other's, processes,
Well, up until now, you weren't competitors.
I guess that's a good way to put it.
Well, it's true.
But, I mean, we have a good relationship with our competitors in our own home market. I mean, we're business-like to each other, and we help each other out when we can.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's just good for our public. But, we just don't want any litigation. And we really,
Well, it would appear that you're going to have some.
Oh, no, Bruce, please.
I mean, they're making the noises. I mean, don't shoot me. I'm just a messenger.
Should our franchisor stand up and play daddy here?
Well, I don't know if your franchisor has a role.
They could get out of this without saying one way or the other.
I don't know that either. You see, what their role is going to be determined by what's in that franchise agreement.
Right. There's nothing in the franchise agreement except for the local town that we're in.
No, I don't mean that. See, that's not the issue.
Oh, the agreement between us and them.
Yes, the issue is can you clean in with their process and then send it out under a different label?
There's nothing.
I don't know if that may not be addressed, but that is the problem that has to be resolved.
Okay.
If you can, you're okay. If you can't, and in the absence of any language that restricts that, I'm not sure that let's be realistic. There's nothing special about your cleaning process.
You know it.
Of course I know it. The solvents are there and whatever. That doesn't mean you're not doing a fine job. Don't misunderstand me.
Right, but it's simple. It's not rocket science. You're
exactly.
Right. You're right.
And so unless if you were saying that if there was, in fact, some kind of a process that made the cleaning, let's say, have some kind of a very distinctive aroma, if that was desirable.
Right.
And that couldn't be duplicated. Well, then we'd have a problem, wouldn't we?
Oh, yeah.
Because that would be distinctive.
Yeah.
Let me put it even in another way. I get a lot of cleaning. I probably have a dozen shirts done a week.
Right.
And I have a lot of cleaning done. So I'm not an expert, but on the other hand, I know what I like, right?
Well, yes, sir.
Okay, now, as a lay person, and I'm using me as an example because I'm trying to weight it in his direction.
Okay.
No, because that you always want to do that.
Okay.
If I walked into that cleaner in West Jabump, your new place.
Yeah.
Now, I'm being serious now.
Okay.
Could I determine that this cleaning process was the same one I found over in East Jabib in your other store by something that really made it so different that I could differentiate as a customer?
You could in my store, sir, but that's only because we are using something that is brand new, but it's available for all.
No, that wasn't what I asked you.
Yes, you could. You could differentiate.
How could I tell? I'm a customer. I get my suit cleaned. How do I tell that it's been cleaned over in your place opposed?
We have a brand new solvent that's only been on the market for about 2 years. It's made by a major oil company.
Without regard to that, how do I know that as a customer?
Because your clothes don't stink. They don't smell like they've been in the dry cleaner.
My clothes don't stink anyway.
Okay, well, there would be some people that would say that, okay, then you're probably using a new dry cleaner.
I don't know what they're using. I send a $2,000 suit to the cleaners, it comes back smelling, there's going to be serious trouble.
Well,
those are my uniforms. That's my working clothes. I live in jeans. But my suits are my working clothes, and they're expensive because...
Well, sir, you remember the big scare about permethylchlorine?
Yes, I do.
Okay, well, there's a new solvent, and it's replacing perk. Our competitors use perk.
Well, I'm hopeful that you're going to... I'm hopeful you're going to forget all that.
Yes, sir.
For your position is, nobody could tell the difference.
Yeah. Okay, I hear you.
Nobody could. I don't want to hear about this special process. You just shut your toes off. That's their position.
Okay.
Your position is, look, guy comes in and get his suit cleaned. Got a spot of gravy on the lapel. We spot clean it. We press it off. We roll the cuffs, and away we go.
Bruce, have you been in the business? Mercy.
No.
You're using some terminology there. Makes me think you're a little more right this than I thought you were.
No. Never been. I am a good customer because I'm sloppy, you see.
You're probably a good customer because you pay attention. And that's something, if people would just pay attention to the service industry, it would make the service industry a lot better.
If you're getting serious, for example, I expect valet service.
Very good.
When a button's missing, I expect them to replace it. Don't send it back without a button on.
We get more business because we don't charge.
Yeah, but even if you charged, don't have me get the shirt out of the bag. See, I have every one of my shirts, every garment, put in a separate plastic bag.
I agree. I do that honestly.
Because you don't get wrinkles.
I know someone's listening. Every customer that spends more than $20 a week gets their clothes individually bagged.
Yeah, well, because you don't get the wrinkles.
You're right.
As simple as that. They just stay better. But I hate like hell to open up a shirt as I did the other day, and there's a button missing in the middle.
Yeah, because you can't wear it.
Exactly right. I don't do buttons.
And you just wasted not only the money you spent on it, but now you've got to go find another shirt. It's hassle, it's inconvenience.
Right. I've worked out the wardrobe and so forth. So I'm very big for service. No question about that. I think that the crux of the thing is, can the average customer tell that this is a special? Well, then if that's your position, there's no way they can tell. And I would say, look, I'm willing to take 10 people off the street from this council, because they're going to be on your team anyway.
Right.
And let them pick out. We'll clean 6 suits one place and 4 suits somewhere else, and let them pick out the 6 or the 4.
What an idea.
It ain't going to happen. They're not going to be able to do it.
You're right.
I wish you well with it, guy. Playing Solomon here, cutting up shirts. But I am particular, and I'm not throwing those big numbers around to impress anybody. I'm sitting here right now in an old shirt and jeans and a pair of Docksiders. But when I'm working, if I'm in business and I'm on a stage or whatever, I think I'm expected to wear decent clothing. And I take care of it because it is expensive and it lasts for a long time. And I expect my cleaner to take care of it. And if I sent a suit and came back with a smell, there would be some kind of trouble with that cleaners. I'm Bruce Williams. We go to Albany, Missouri this time. Hello there.
Hello.
How are you?
Well, I'm fine. Our favorite thing to do, sit out on the deck and listen to Bruce Williams.
Well, aren't you sweet?
From the Des Moines station.
WHO.
Yes. We're from Nebraska, and we just moved out here a year ago. And what I'm wanting to know is that we had our wills made out in Nebraska by an attorney, and he was also made our executor.
Why did you make the attorney the executor? There's nothing wrong with it, but I'm a little curious.
He was, his son was our son's favorite friend, and he was our attorney. And so we just felt like that we would like to have him be our executor. Well, now that we're moved, do we have to get another one from the state of Missouri?
It would be wise to.
It would be.
There are differences in the laws from state to state. And it may be that it would be awkward. Well, let's talk a little bit about you. How old are you guys?
My husband just retired. He's 65, and I'm 61.
All right. Now, who are you going to leave your assets to?
To our children. We have 4 children.
Well, are any of the children reasonably competent?
Oh, yes, they all are.
Well, then, no, I'm still... let me put it another way. That's a hell of a question to ask a mother. But are they astute?
No, they're all very, very well-to-do.
No, astute means smart.
Oh, they're smart, yes.
Okay. Well, then why not name one of the children as your executor? It doesn't cost anything.
Well, which one would you name?
I'd choose the one that was most able.
Well, I think they're all very able.
Well, they are not equal. There's no two people on the face of the earth that are equal.
Well, I tell you, our kids are all so successful, I don't know which one I would pick.
Well, then pick them out of a hat.
Oh.
Or get the kids together for a family dinner and say, who wants to volunteer? Who wants the short straw?
Okay, that's an idea.
I mean,
you have one that's close. He lives in Kansas City.
Well, now that would be a factor, too. Where do the others live?
Nebraska and then San Antonio, Texas.
Well, I'd scratch San Antonio.
You would?
Yeah, because it's inconvenient. There's scut work to be done.
So you think maybe the closest one?
If their other things are equal, sure.
Sure.
And I would have the, do you own real estate? Well, where are your assets now?
What?
Where are your assets?
Well, our assets are in the home. We bought 80 acres.
No, I want to know what state are they in?
In Missouri.
Then that's the place to have your will.
Okay. So we should see an attorney here and have another will made?
Yes, ma'am. And I would name my first of all, I wouldn't surprise this person, whether it's male or female, is not material.
No.
I wouldn't surprise him. I'd say, look, I'm considering naming you my personal representative or executor. Is that okay with you? And then I'd name another one, the next closest one, as the alternate. I would not name co-executors.
Okay.
Because that's a committee, and that gets to be a problem.
So
and I'd tell the others what? I'm sorry?
You should name an alternate, then.
Yes, ma'am. Suppose the other one dies before you.
Oh, okay.
Or gets sick.
Yes.
Or a million things can happen. Or just doesn't want to do it. Yes, you should name a second.
Okay. Well, that's what we need to know.
You save some money, and the will should be updated every few years anyway.
Oh, okay. It's been probably maybe 4 or 5 years.
Well, the big thing is your residency move.
Yes. Right.
Now, you see, it gets a little more complicated for some folks. If you have real estate in several states, now you got a real problem.
Yeah.
Because I don't even want to get into that.
We sold everything in Nebraska, and we built a new home here.
Okay. I think what you do, they'd be wise to find yourself an attorney, get it done over again.
Okay, well...
And then... Hello there, Milwaukee. Welcome to my world.
Hello, Bruce.
Good evening.
How are you tonight?
Just fine, thank you.
Okay, I've got a friend that had purchased a pickup truck, a used one.
From a dealer or from a private party?
No, from a dealer. It was a used car lot, okay?
And how used?
Let me think. I believe it was around an 89 or 90, roughly.
Okay, 10 years old.
Okay. And first of all, the cruise control went out on it. And then about 2 or 3 weeks later, he took it to the emissions test. It failed that. Then he took it to a Ford dealership and asked him how much it would cost to have it fixed so it could pass the emissions. and they told him like $300 to $400, and he couldn't afford it, so he didn't do it. And then just 2 days ago, in the driveway, he was driving off, and the power steering unit gave out, and oil all over the driveway. That's going to cost him $100 and some.
Mm-hmm.
I just wonder if there's any recourse that he has.
Well, when he bought the car, the truck, was it an as-is, where-is deal?
Yeah, that's what they had written on the top.
Well, that's exactly what it means.
Okay. I didn't know if it would apply to a dealer or not.
If it's on the documents, as is, where is, that means there's no guarantees of any kind.
Okay.
I mean, he bought an old truck and got the short straw.
Yeah, he sure did.
Now, how's he going to, without the emissions thing, what's the catalytic converter?
I can't understand. They had given him a sticker to put on the plate, and he didn't even take it through yet, and it didn't pass. It was just the hydrocarbons, I believe.
Well, what does the sticker indicate?
It's for $99. But the dealer, where he bought it, they had given him a sticker to put on the plate.
Well, I don't know what that sticker indicates.
Okay, it's in Wisconsin. Every year or two, whatever, you have to go through the emissions, and if you pass it, then they give you just a small sticker that says it's updated. Now the plate's updated from 97 to 99.
Well, if that's the case, why did he have the emissions checked a second time?
I don't know, because he had gotten that in the mail, and they said you have to bring it through the emissions test. But yet that's
a local thing, and I don't have the answer for that.
Okay.
I do wish you well, guys.
Thank you.
Take good care. But when people seem to think, wow, it doesn't really mean what it says. It does. When it says as is, where is, that's exactly what it means. Traverse City, Michigan. Hello there. Welcome to my world.
Thank you, Bruce.
What's on your mind, kid?
I have a business that I believe you know something about, restaurant business.
Not a whole lot. I know a little bit about the bar business.
Well, I have a bar also in the restaurant. And is there a magic formula in determining value at time of sale?
Not that I know of, no.
Not really.
The larger the potential profit, geometrically the price increases. In other words, if you got a place that's netting $25,000, in my opinion, it's worth absolutely nothing. You got a place that's netting $750,000. Now we're talking about something, because the same number of hours that the would-be buyer puts in is rewarded with a whole lot more in the second instance. Now, let's talk about what kind of 1998, how much personal income tax did you declare?
Personal,
this is coming out of the restaurant, of course. Do you have another job, or that's it?
No, that's it.
Fine. How much did you declare as your income?
You mean gross sales from the business?
No, I mean your personal income.
Oh, excuse me, $42,000.
Okay, so that's that's the number we're doing. You work there full time? Does your wife work there?
I have a manager.
I didn't ask you about manager.
No, I'm single.
That's fine, because a manager you got to write a check to.
That's correct.
Just part of the overhead.
Yeah.
But so often, a man will bring his wife in, or a wife will bring her husband in, and they're doing something that somebody's got to be paid for, but they aren't.
I see.
It's not shown anywhere.
I see. No wife.
Okay. Why do you want to sell it?
I don't right now, but I'm thinking, I'm 55, and I'm thinking maybe in another 3 or 4 years, it will eventually happen.
All right. Now let's talk about how much. Are you talking about property? Do you own the property?
Oh, yes.
How much is that worth?
I would say $300,000.
Well, you're in trouble already.
How's that?
Well, $300,000. If you converted the property to cash,
yes,
that would bring you $30,000 to $40,000 a year, and you wouldn't have to go to work.
That's what I'm thinking.
Oh, it's the truth. And nobody is going to pay that kind of money for your business. Well, I have a feeling you've had this for a fair amount of time.
21 years.
Yeah, and you bought the property for a fraction of what we're talking about.
Exactly.
All right, this is not an uncommon, I don't know if you want to call it a problem, because you and I share the problem to some degree. I own a business on a piece of property that I think I paid $16,200 for it. And now it's probably worth somewhere between $400,000 and $500,000.
I see.
I bought it many years ago. Well, the business that I have in that property could never pay the rent.
I see.
On a piece of property that size. And your restaurant couldn't pay the rent on a $300,000 piece of property, let alone the building and the rest of it.
Right.
In other words, the property is not being used at its highest and best use in your case or in mine.
I think maybe when you said the value of the property, I included buildings in that. At the
Still $300,000.
Yes.
It's still $300,000.
No matter how you look at it.
No matter how you look at it. If you can convert that, of course, you may get murdered by taxes. I don't know how that's going to be handled. But if you had the whole $300,000 at 12%, that's $36,000 a year.
Without lifting a finger.
Without doing tap one.
I see your point.
That's exactly right. And what you're talking about is not at all uncommon for businesses to they're profitable, quotation marks, as a standalone proposition, but they are not profitable when you take into account the property they're sitting on. You bought a piece of property, it was out in the country. Now it's the middle of downtown Des Moines or something.
Right.
Well, the values have changed.
Exactly.
And don't be angry about that. I'm glad it happened that way. But it might be, then there's another permutation I want you to think about, and this you might be able to sneak some extra money out of it, is you mentioned that you got the restaurant supplies and all that kind of good stuff, right?
Yes.
Well, you might put them in another location.
Well,
then all we're doing is buying. No, if you were into a rented location, then all you're selling is restaurant stuff, and your clientele hopefully would go a block or two to come to continue with you.
Oh, this is a small town. I assume they would, but
well, look at the difference if you did it that way. Tell you what, I got to take a little time out, and I'm going to take a minute with you, but that's a permutation which I think might deserve your attention. Stick around. I'm Bruce Williams. I am chatting with a gentleman in Traverse City, Michigan, and we're talking about a problem that happens. It's maybe a nice problem, maybe not, to a lot of business people. They open up a business on property they own, which they've acquired at relatively decent prices, and then with inflation and the rest of it, all of a sudden they find they got a lot of money sitting in property, more than that business can legitimately support, right? Now, suppose you took how many square you got in your restaurant?
3,000.
Oh, that's a good-sized restaurant. What did you gross last year?
510.
$500,000.
Yeah, a little over.
And you took home less than 10%?
Well, my debt load is quite high yet. I've put quite a bit of money into it. The place is like new.
How much do you owe?
I owe approximately $75,000 on it.
Well, that's not so high. And how many years you take to service that?
Before it'll be paid off, about 6.
Wow. You couldn't accelerate those payments any?
Oh, yes, I could. I could pay it off in 2 years.
What's the interest rate?
5%.
Oh, I wouldn't pay it off a penny day early.
No, I don't intend to.
Invest that money elsewhere someplace.
Exactly. But I'm still paying over $20,000 a year on my debt.
On what debt?
On the $75,000 that I owe.
You're paying $20,000 a year?
Right.
Why so much?
Well, there's a separate mortgage. I just put a big addition on the kitchen.
Well, Laurie, the answer to your question is I don't think it's going to sell for a lot of money.
It won't.
Well, not when you take into account what you're selling.
I see.
All of this very expensive real estate and building.
Mm-hmm.
That's part of the problem. Now, you put on all these additions. Are you doing more business?
Oh, yes.
I mean, you think you'll crack $1 million this year?
No, it's going up about 12% a year right now, the gross.
Well, that'd be another $60,000.
Right.
I think you better hustle the next 5 years to get that gross up.
To get it up. Okay, Bruce.
You bet, because you, as I mentioned, I don't want to beat it to death, but you're in the same situation that I'm in. I'm in that one particular property.
What are you going to do? Give it away?
No, I'm going to leave it to somebody.
Is that right?
Yeah, because of the taxes would be horrendous, and I don't frankly need the money.
I see.
And I don't need the businesses there either. I'm going to leave that to somebody too. I mean, there's no way in the world I'm going to give the government $150,000, $200,000. It's just not going to happen.
I understand. I've thought about the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
I've thought about that. That I will pursue. I certainly appreciate that, Bruce.
Well, we're suffering together. But a lot of people would say it's a good problem to have.
I appreciate that, sir.
I do wish you well, Guy.
Thank you.
Take good care. Boston, Massachusetts, it's your turn in my world. Hello there.
Hi, Bruce.
Good evening.
How are you?
I am well.
I catching you on a small station in Quincy, Mass. They took you off RKO in Boston for some sex therapist years ago, and I was really bummed out. I don't know what she's off the air now, too, and they got some other person, but I guess things have to change for the worse sometimes.
Change is the absolute requisite of this enterprise.
I have a long ride home, and it was always enjoyable listening to you at night.
Well, it never hurts to give the station a call and say, hey,
yeah, I did call.
What'd they say?
Yeah, they just said thank you very much and went on their business.
What's on your mind
anyway,
tonight?
I've got a little situation, and before I do anything, I figured I better run it by you. My mother recently passed away, and 79, and frankly, I'm trying to do this real quick because I know you're busy, but...
She passed away in 79?
No, when she was 79.
Oh, okay.
In September.
Mm-hmm.
And she passed away, and she shared a house with my brother and his wife and kids, and we all got along good. And
who owned the house?
They all did. It was sold in equal shares. My father, mother, and my brother, and my sister-in-law.
Okay.
So that's the way my mother wanted it, and that was okay with me. And I was able to support myself very nicely. I got Now, when she passed away, of course, there was a will. My brother, living right with her, became the executor. So the will...
Well, the will named him as executor.
Right. And in December, he was named, what do you call it? Executor. The will got probated.
Okay.
And so, I called him. I don't see him very much. We live about 8 miles apart, and I'm working all the time, and I don't see him, but I talk to him on the phone, and, he says, well, everything's going to be coming down, and, there was another matter, too. Let me stick that in the equation. My mother and I both owned a car together. She paid for it, but it was put in both of our names for business reasons, and I'd said to her many times, Ma, if you wanted to take me off the car, you could, and she says, oh, no.
Well, she didn't, and she's dead, so it's academic.
Right. Okay, so long and short of it is, now we're into March. The will has been probated. I've called him a few times, and he says, well, it's a matter of my mother was not a rich woman, but, between my brother and two brothers and me, it was about, maybe said $20,000 apiece.
Right. Have you seen the will?
I called my mother's lawyer, and he sent me a copy of the will, which, she deemed that he would get the remaining part of the house, and which was okay with me.
Wow.
And then, that was okay.
Your father's passed away, I take it.
Yeah, my father passed away.
Oh, so your mother owned half the house at this point.
Well, she owned a third of it.
Wait a minute. When your father passed away,
they bought it in fourths.
And who got your father's interest?
Then it went to the remaining people.
That was the way it was set up?
Right. My mother kind of regretted it, but because after a while she didn't get along with my...
All right. So where are we going with all this?
Here's where we're going real quick. I said to my brother 2 weeks ago, where is the disposition of this will? I mean, I've received a little money, and my brother, but we haven't, other brother, and we haven't heard anything else. And he keeps saying he runs into difficulties with beneficiaries, and so I said, well, how long is this going to take? Not that I'm greedy for the money, but I want what's equal for everybody. Wouldn't you agree?
Mm-hmm.
So then I said, and what about he's taking the car and taking it to where he works and put it inside a building? And I said, well, Lee, when are you going to give me the car? And he says, well, I think that what we should do is divide the car up among the three of us. And I said, no. Mom wanted me to have the car. So anyway, the long and short of it is, I don't have a lawyer anymore. I haven't needed one for years.
Mm-hmm.
If you were me, tomorrow I was planning to call him. Either, get off the pot or something.
Well, I wouldn't do that. I'd sit down with him, say, look, first of all, let's take the car. It's easy. Let's assume that Mom owned half of it. I own half. as well.
He admits that the car...
So therefore, if the car works, he's going to give you the car?
He didn't say he's not given it to me yet. It's been about...
Is he going to give you the car?
He says it's mine, but he hasn't said...
Well, in that case, you go see him and say, let's settle the car thing. Give me the keys. Who's got the title? The physical...
He's got the title. I've got a copy of it.
No, a copy doesn't do you any good.
Okay.
Tell him you want the title, and that was an agreement. We got that out of the way.
Okay.
As to the rest of the stuff, it gets so... The house belongs to you. You get that. That's it. If it was left to you, your mother's interest to you, then that's the way it is.
Right.
So all we got to do is talk about whatever assets are left.
Right.
Now, you have a responsibility, George, to the court. When you take the job as administrator, or in this case, executor, you have an obligation to get it done expeditiously. Now, let's get it done. If it means hiring an attorney to help you out, that's fine. But let's get it done.
All right. So, if he,
if he says no, he said no. The next step really is to go see the surrogate.
Surrogate?
That's what the surrogate is for.
The surrogate is my mother's lawyer.
No, the surrogate is the court that you're going to go to. That's where you file a will for probate with a surrogate.
Oh, okay. So I don't involve my mother's lawyer.
No, sir.
Don't involve
Not yet. Just go see the surrogate and say, I got a problem.
Okay.
I'm a beneficiary of a will. It's been so many months. It's real simple, and nothing's happening. It's that person's responsibility to goose the executor to see that the person who's died wishes are carried out.
Okay.
Good luck, kid.
Thank you.
Thanks for the kind words. I'm Bruce Williams.
Mark.
Shreveport, hello there.
Hi, Bruce. Great show.
Well, thank you, sir.
We had a caller on a previous show that I had a question with. You had mentioned, he had mentioned that he was $50,000 in debt and had about a $50,000 a year income.
Yeah.
And you had mentioned to him the consumer credit counseling, and he said, but it would take forever to pay it off.
In reality, I don't think he's ever going to get paid off, yeah.
Well, I just wanted to call in because I had just a personal something that has happened to me.
Mm-hmm.
I got really stupid. Actually, I'm a compulsive gambler,
Mm-hmm.
and
you're living in a bad place then, huh?
Yeah, I've been gamble free for now almost 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
Going through GA and stuff. But in the process of becoming a compulsive gambler, I put $70,000 on credit cards.
Wow.
Now, I've got about a $60,000 a year job, and I went through consumer credit counseling, and I've been paying $1,700 a month for almost 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
And we've been able to get it down under 50. Largely due to the fact that CCCS was able to get a lot of those credit card companies to reduce their interest rate.
Or turn it off altogether.
Yeah, almost. Some of them went all the way down to zero.
Right.
Some of them went to 9%. I think about on the average, I'm now at about 7% interest for the total. But it's doable. I just didn't want to, like you said on the previous caller there, I just did not want to go in bankruptcy.
Mm-hmm.
Because I knew that was going to follow me a long time.
It says a lot for your character. I congratulate you. My call there was I don't think they're ever going to get paid off. They had the dual income to get the $50,000. They're both making relatively modest salaries.
Yeah, this is just my income, and I did have a question for you.
Yeah, go ahead.
I've got here in about a year, I'm going to be coming into about it's going to come out to be about $45,000 tax-free.
What's that?
Well, that's after taxes.
Is that a legacy?
Well, it's a severance package.
Okay.
And I just wanted to find out, what do I was planning on just taking that whole chunk and completely getting out of the CCCS completely.
Well, wait a minute. Let me go back a little bit. You say it's tax-free. What does that mean?
Well, no, I mean that's after taxes.
After taxes. Okay. And how old are you?
33.
And what other pension plans do you have?
That's it.
I would roll that over into a Roth IRA for me.
Instead of paying it off?
No, yes, sir. I'd roll it over into a Roth IRA.
Okay.
It's going to work there for the next 30 some odd years for you, totally tax-free. I think you can't beat that with a stick.
I hadn't even thought of that.
I do wish you well, Guy.
Well, thank you very much, Bruce.
It's been a pleasure, and congratulations on handling your affairs so well. Des Moines, Iowa. Hello there. Welcome to my world.
Hi, Bruce. How's it going?
Doing well.
Got a question for you. Me and two other partners have some lakefront property which we lease out. There's trailers on it right now.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Question is, the two other partners are debating whether they put it up for sale or...
Hold on, you're going through a little quickly. You said what?
Okay, I'm sorry. The two other partners and myself own this property.
Right.
Just got it all paid for. And we're debating whether to list it for sale or just take the income off it. And my question is...
Well, talk about the numbers.
Okay, my question is, if we list it, we'll probably list it like around $600,000.
All right.
Okay, we get a net off it of 30. Low end net would be the least would be $30,000 a year.
All right.
Then we got debating if we sell it, pay
Stop right there.
Okay.
The $600,000. How much of that, or how much taxes would come off of that? How much did you pay for the property?
I paid $140.
Well, you got a hell of a capital gain there, then.
Exactly.
So
now, plus, is it also plus federal tax too, or I don't know tax?
Much we're talking about federal tax.
Okay.
But we're also hold on.
I'm sorry.
How long have you owned this?
5 years.
Well, your accountant's been depreciating it as well.
Yes, sir.
You got to recapture that. So let's say, for the sake of discussion, you got $500,000 to pay tax on. It's capital gains tax, and that would be $100,000.
$100,000. Okay. Right off the top.
Off the top.
So.
But I still think you'd be better off selling it. You still do with the residual amount of money, you get a better return you're getting now.
Okay. So even though it nets 30, doesn't you better off taking the money up front and selling it?
Well, $30,000 on 600, right?
Right.
Well, 10% would be 60,000. That means it's 5%. Be happy with a 5% return?
I guess the problem we had, that one partner was saying, well, if you make 10% or if you make the $30,000 a year,
that's 5%. Go ahead.
Okay, if you make 10 years from now, you still have the property, and you're not, paying capital gains tax and all that.
Well, that's going to be paid sooner or later if you ever want to spend the money. But on the other hand, if you put the money in some other investment that got you 12 or 15%, you'd have a whole lot more money at the end of that period of time, wouldn't you? Now, the other side of that is maybe this property on the lake will go up even more.
Because it's the last frontage available. So
but without regard to that, I don't know, that's not an issue here for me.
Okay.
If it does go up more, how many acres are we talking about here?
About 10.
60,000 an acre already, huh?
Yeah.
Well, and you paid what for it? 1,400?
No, 140.
140,000.
Mm-hmm.
10 acres, 14,000 you paid.
Right, we got it pretty cheap.
Well, you got it for 14 grand, if you're telling me.
Exactly.
And now it's worth 60. Now, the question is, in your best unprejudiced judgment,
okay,
is that property still appreciating materially every year?
Yeah, it has, I think, appreciated every year. Not huge gains, but...
Well, how much is huge?
I'd say it's around $1,000 a foot, and we bought it about $200 a foot.
You're not answering my question.
Okay, try it again.
Right now, it's worth. You told me it's worth 60 big ones, right?
We'd hope to get that, right?
600,000, or in the neighborhood. How's that?
Gotcha.
What was it worth last year at this time, in your best of judgment?
Well, it's probably the same last year.
Well, what I'm trying to get to is if it's stalled, if it isn't moving anymore, which happens to the best of properties.
Okay.
Time to dump it, get out. On the other hand, if it's going up like crazy every year, maybe your partner is correct. But the return that you are getting on a $600,000 investment, in pure terms, is miserly. You're getting a 5% return. Now, I don't know if that's after expenses and taxes, but either way.
Yeah, that's after everything. That was
lousy return. I do wish you well, Guy. I'm Bruce Williams. Greensboro, North Carolina, what's on your mind?
I'm really nervous, so bear with me.
That's okay, kid. What's happening?
My husband and I are having a kind of a big argument about something.
All right.
And, I've decided, you're the next best thing, so I'll ask you.
Next best thing. Hey, I really appreciate that. Yeah.
I was working at a local skating rink, and several months ago, the owner made a pass at me, and I walked out and quit. My husband, he had just come back from, he's military, just came back from sea, and I told him about it, and he called the guy and wanted to talk to him and find out his side of the story, which, I wasn't too happy with, but,
what was his side of the story?
Huh?
What was his side?
He would not answer. He sent us a letter a couple of days later saying that my family is banned from the skating rink. And, excuse me.
How do you ban somebody from the skating rink?
The letter states that, you are no longer welcome here. If you come by, we will have you arrested. And, my kids are just, they don't understand why, and they've heard stories. And
arrested for what? I mean,
sir?
What would they... he can send you a letter. Arrested for what? This is a place of public accommodation?
That's what I thought, but my husband says just leave it alone, We'll go to Brunswick to go skating or something. Just, maybe you just said something to make him mad. Well, in the meantime, I guess rumor has gotten around. 3 other women have come to me and said, yeah, he does that. That's why we quit going there. And I'm like, isn't somebody going to do something? And as I said, my husband is adamant about me not saying anything or doing anything. These other women won't report it or anything. And what's the best thing we should do? I don't feel I should deny my kids.
Well, the word best is something I can't deal with here. No, really. I don't know what is best. I see what the alternatives are, and they are not very, very pleasant from your perspective.
But suppose he tries it on a young child or something. That's what I'm concerned about.
So far, you're a mature woman, are you not?
Excuse me?
You are a mature woman, are you not?
Yes.
And how about the other 2 ladies that came forward?
I think they're mature.
Okay, well, I'm trying to... chronologically, how's that mature? What I'm trying to get to is it would appear that he's not a pedophile, but he's a roue. Now, if the other women refuse to support what you're doing, and your husband gets exercised if you do. I mean, when you say he made a pass, without getting too graphic, what are we talking about? A verbal pass?
He was passing by. I was in one little area, and he, I thought he was just going to pass by, and he started kissing me.
Oh, that's a pass.
Oh, I mean, I'm floored. He's supposed to be a happily married man. He's very religious, and
it figures.
Yeah.
Well, the problem is you're getting no support from anybody. That's the reality.
Well, yeah, but I just don't want something to come up 10 years from now, and people are saying it happened, and they'll say, well, why didn't you say anything? Well, I'm trying to get people's attention now before it gets any worse.
I don't disagree with you, but the fact is, let's count the chips that we're playing with here. Your husband doesn't want you to do anything.
Right.
The ladies that you spoke with say, well, it's a terrible thing. It happened to us, but we're not saying anything.
Right.
Where does that leave you? Hung out to dry.
Yes.
And I'm not trying to persuade you not to do anything, but I think your better judgment will tell you this is not a crusade that you're going to come out ahead on in all likelihood. And if you do it, what cost?
Yeah, that's true.
I think that's the size of it.
Yeah.
How old are your children?
My daughter is 14. My sons are 11 and 9.
And have they ever gone there subsequent to this to see what happened?
No.
You see, I think he'd have a tough time with that one.
Well, it was my understanding that if a business says you're not welcome here, you have to leave. And
I don't know if that's true.
Oh, that's kind of been my understanding.
Well,
of it.
it's a place of public accommodation. And unless he can show something that those children have done, raising hell or popping off at somebody or punching something, a guard out or whatever, I don't know that he can do that.
Okay.
That's something you could probably test. Of course, a guy like this would make up a story.
Sir?
a guy like this very possibly would make up a story.
Yeah.
You know, say, oh, yeah, that was the kid that did thus and such.
Yeah, I didn't think about that.
And that's a possibility, too.
Because they've been bugging me wanting to go back, and all their friends go, and they don't understand why they can't go, and it's... Like my husband says, we can just go run up to Brunswick or something. I'm like, that's...
Well, you can do that, or at least you can try and see what happens. Would he recognize your kids?
Yes. I was involved there for a couple of years, and, they were, knew our kids.
Well, it's your move.
Okay.
But be careful.
Thank you, hon.
I do wish you well. I'm Bruce Williams. Dayton, Ohio, is your turn in my world. Hello there.
Hi, Bruce.
Hi.
I own a closed-end stock fund, and my certificates are held by a bank because I do reinvestment.
That's where you purchased it, I take it.
Well, I purchased it through the bank, and I left the certificates there, and they reinvest the money as it comes out.
It's in the street name, it's called.
Yes, but it's not a brokerage house; it's a bank.
Nonetheless, the bank is the agent that got you through this process, and they're holding the securities. Pretty normal.
That's right. The only problem is that I just found out, recently this bank has come under investigation for money laundering.
Well, that doesn't tell us which bank it is because there's a whole bunch of them. That's not going to affect you any.
All right, but
are you talking about the Soviet or the Russian? That's not going to affect you at all.
Well, okay. I found out also that the bank is also the custodian of the shares of stock of the fund.
It's still not going to bother you.
All right.
As big as these numbers are, they pale in relationship to the size of the banks involved.
Well,
there may be some fines and whatever.
What I'm worried about is that, of course, the value of the stock will go down.
Why would the value go down?
Well, other people would get frightened and sell off, just as I'm getting a little skittish.
Well, what is the money invested in?
It's a closed-end stock fund. It's a whole bunch of different stocks.
Well, why would that...
Then that asset value would stay fine.
Well, wait a minute. I don't understand something.
Okay.
What difference does it make about the bank's relative stability and the value of the fund?
They're the custodian of the fund.
So what?
Well, if they screw around with this money, what would happen to my dividends?
I don't think that's going to happen.
Well,
I think that you're look, the money laundering thing is a separate proposition altogether.
Okay.
And there's a lot of reasons why money laundering. You realize the government is so paranoid that they, first of all, did you know it used to be they had $10,000 bills, $5,000 bills, $1,000 bills, right?
Right, I remember.
Well, no more. Why?
It's too easy to carry large quantities of money.
They're paranoid about that. That's right. You walk into a casino, they have $2,000 checks for crying out loud. One little chip, $2,000. The other thing that the government is paranoid about is about $10,000 or more, you got to report the transaction.
Right.
This is ostensibly to thwart the drug traffickers. You got to be kidding me. What nonsense. Now, should these guys have been dealing as they are in the Russian black market and the Russian mafia? Not my opinion, no. But if you think this is something new, you're very naive. And if you think this is going to bring any big banks down, you're even more naive, in my opinion.
I just remember I lived close to where Home State Savings Bank was.
Well, but that was quite a different matter, wasn't it? Wasn't it?
They had regulatory agents that came in and said the bank's fine, and then all of a sudden the bank fails, and the regulatory agent says, oh, it's not our fault, we didn't investigate. I mean, we investigated and everything was fine, but,
Okay.
So
look, let's leave it at this. If you are nervous, get out. You may take a beating for doing it, but get out.
Well,
you're the guy who's got to sleep at night. I'm not a sound sleeper, but that isn't the reason, I'll tell you that. Things like that don't keep me awake for 30 seconds. But if it does affect you, you're the guy in the trenches. By all means, dump.
Well, that's what I'm wondering, whether it's worth the dump and the loss.
Well, are you asking me? I'd say no.
Well, I'm trying to get opinions of people that I respect.
Well, I don't know about my opinion's worth any more than the next guy's, but it would not be mine to do that.
Okay.
I fail to see where there's any exposure for, anything, I don't see any exposure at all. I mean, those guys, you're talking about these huge banks. Now they get fined $25 million. It's gonna, well, that's news. What else is new?
That's true.
They can handle that kind of a fine. Take a look at their assets sometime, huh?
I know.
I do wish you well, guy.
Okay, thank you.
Take good care.
Okay.
I can understand concern, but those things I don't think are going to make much difference. Oh, let me see. I guess we're going to St. Petersburg. Hello there.
Hello, Bruce.
Good evening.
Good evening. I've got a young couple. About a month ago, they had a real estate person, and this real estate person found them a house.
All right.
The house was about 60, right at 60.
All right.
They liked the house. The young man got a VA loan. The VA hired someone from the ERA to come out and inspect the house for them.
Well, yeah, they want a VA inspection, which is different from the one you might want.
Right. I understand that. The lady come out. In fact, their real estate person said, "Oh boy, this woman's really tough." So here and there, the lady comes out and says, "Okay, that this, and this has to be fixed. You can get the loan if this work is done."
All right.
This work amounted to about $3,800.
And how much is the house?
60.
Well, let me see. 10% would be 600, right?
Yes.
Excuse me, 1% would be 600. So, in most contracts, they would only have to spend a max of $300, or they could kill the deal.
Right. Well, what happened was this: the woman that owned the house came back and said of this $3,800 that she would pay $2,400. It wound up that the kids were going to be paying about $1,400 more for this work.
Okay.
And that was to include painting the outside, pressure cleaning and painting the outside of the house, painting one room and putting a drop ceiling in it, which I felt was very, very high for that amount of work. Well, it comes to find out that after they've pressure cleaned it, the windows and everything have this real flaky wood on it. They're the old jealousy type windows that have the individual panes in them. All of the caulking and everything is you can take your finger and throw it off. So I'm looking at the house with the kids, and I said, well, you should tell the guy, make sure they do the caulking and everything before they paint.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes.
Did they have a building inspector inspect the place at their behest and their expense?
No.
Boy.
Just from the VA.
But the VA's, all the VA inspection is to ensure the VA that the value is there.
Right.
Has nothing whatever to do with condition.
Okay.
Did your kids didn't have a lawyer either, I'm sure.
No. Ill-advised. I told them, get a lawyer. They said, no, they got this real nice real estate person. So anyways, here's what happens. So of the 38, everybody's still happy. Till they find out the guy says, she calls him and says, well, will they please replace the caulking there where it's bad and stuff and around the doors and windows? And the guy said, well, caulking's not included in the paint job. And I said, well, gee, that's crazy. I mean, any painter that paints outside, you pressure clean it, you sand the little rough spots down, you put caulking on, you paint the house.
Absolutely.
Most get a primer coat and then a coat of paint when you're dealing in the figure of a couple $1,000s to paint the house. Mm-hmm. If you're doing a $500 outside paint job, maybe not. But for 50...
Well, we can agree that they're ordinarily, the caulking is done by the painter.
Okay, so now what happens is there's a bunch of bushes around the house, and I told them, I said, but it's going to be tough for them to paint the house with all this stuff around the house. They said, well, wait, we'll trim it back for them. I said, good idea. So they go around, they trim the bushes all down, nice and easy, the guys can get in. Well, in the front of the house, this is a little bitty wood house anyway. Used to have a porch on the front of it. They made that into the master bedroom, extended the master bedroom out, put this like plywood paneling looking stuff on the side and the front of the house. Well, this is all gone. It's rotted. You can stick your finger right through it. I pulled a piece off of it today, and there's larvae inside there.
Lovely. It seems to me like your kids ought to be walking away from this one.
Well, that's what I told him. I said, you call this guy, and the guy says, well, we got a contractor coming out tomorrow and look at it and let you know how much it's going to be. Like they're supposed to pay for this.
No, I would try to. You see, they screwed this up. I know kids don't listen to parents.
Right.
There should have been they didn't have a lawyer.
In the beginning, number one, the lawyer.
Yeah, and there would have been in the contract the right to have it inspected. And unless the inspection was satisfactory or brought to a satisfactory condition, the deal dies.
Right. So what they put up $500 for earnest money when they bought the house with the VA thing.
Right.
Now there is a piece of paper, a contract to do this work for the $3,800 that the lady's going to pay X amount, and then the kids are going to pay the $14.
Yeah. Well, look, let me cut to the pad. If I were you, I'd have an attorney write to them saying that because there were so many serious deficiencies that were not disclosed to the buyer.
And they were not.
Well, I understand that.
Right.
That were not disclosed to the buyer, that his client is not going to proceed, and let it go from there. But I get that letter off right away. Let's take a little time out, huh? I need a breather at Bruce Williams. Olympia, Washington, welcome to my...
Bruce, how are you doing?
Doing okay.
Good, glad to hear it. Well, here's my problem, in a nutshell. About a year ago, I bought a brand new car, a little station wagon, and I got 2 odometer statements from the dealership. One saying that the miles were true and correct, the second one saying that the miles were unknown.
Huh, that's it. Was this used?
No, it's brand new.
Miles unknown for a new...
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be a little out of the ordinary?
It was very out of the ordinary. What happened was this. I had a good friend of mine, still is a good friend of mine, worked for this car dealership, went to him. He found this car. It was actually a brand new 97 that they hadn't sold. Took it for a test drive, and I noticed right then and there, hey, the odometer's not working. He said, well, it's been in the shop. They had the dash apart. Maybe they disconnected the odometer and had it and hooked it back up. And I said, no, okay, fine. But the car was very clean, very nice, and checked out. Everything seemed okay. So I went ahead and did the initial paperwork on it. Well, at the time, we were in the middle of doing a refi on our house, and I didn't want a credit inquiry. So we did what was called a one-pay, which is just a promissory note to, pay for the car. And they did what's called a telecheck, where I actually write them a check, but they don't, they send it to this company who pays them, but they don't actually cash the check, with my bank.
For how long?
I told them, I said, the loan was getting ready to close. I said I need at least 3 weeks. This was in the first part of September. We ended up doing the final paperwork by the end of September, and that's all they cared. The dealership cared about was that we had the deal done by the end of the month.
Well, so what's the problem?
Well, the problem is I've got a brand new car with an odometer statement that reads mileage unknown. Okay.
How do they explain that?
Well, they did fix the odometer. We took it back and had them fix the odometer, and then of course they, like I said, they gave us a second odometer statement stating that the miles were unknown. Well, this literally, and I was in the car business for 5 years, that literally cuts the value of the car in half.
No.
Yes, it does.
No, I don't agree with you. I would grant you that it would reduce the value, but not cut it in half.
Well, like I said, I was an assistant used car manager for a while in the dealership, and if we got a car in with miles unknown, if the book said a car was worth $5,000, but the odometer was not clean or wasn't functioning, or even if it was functioning, but the odometer statement don't went with the car.
Let me interrupt. I only a couple of seconds here. Are you telling me that people that bought a car brand new and had that kind of a statement, it was a $25,000 car, it's worth $12,500? I don't believe that.
On trade-in.
I don't believe that. I know what you're talking about. You may be right. But the fact is you got one that says 0, well, you lose the other one. What difference does it make?
Odometer statements, and I've talked to
Well, hold it. The one that you have says 0. It ain't broken. Don't fix it. I do wish you well, guy. I'm Bruce Williams from Westwood One.
Friday you dropped by. I'm Bruce Williams. Welcome, my friends. Hey, come on in, belly up to the bar. We'll cut up a couple of jackpots together, and by golly, I think we can get something accomplished. I'm Bruce Williams. Our telephone number, we have a bunch of open lines, 800-743-8000, 800-743-8000. I read an interesting article today, and since I was a million years ago, certified to be both K-8, kindergarten through 8th grade elementary school teacher, as well as a special ed teacher, I read an article with some interest in USA Today, and I'm sure it's been around the country, about the state of Massachusetts. They decided to have higher standards, for lack of a better term, for incoming teachers, and they found out that the most of the kids who were applying flunked. And I can appreciate on some of the areas, for example, they asked questions about history, and they asked questions about, you had to repeat, after something was written read to you 3 times, you were required to write it down verbatim. And I can understand those. But the lead headline was something about if you spelling or writing. Now, I like to believe I've done okay. I think I have. I can't spell my name without checking my driver's license, but why would I want to bother? There are lots of people that can spell, and a lot of them, they're called secretaries, and you can get the spell check or whatever it is for your computer for 80,000 words. To me, to eliminate somebody on the basis they can't spell is downright stupid. You say, well, it's essential a teacher spell. Why is that? If you've got a teacher who is a biology major or a biologist, I'm really not concerned that they can't construct a sentence perfectly. I am concerned that they know the different phylums that are necessary to introduce in the course level where they are. If I'm looking for somebody to teach basic elementary practical economics, how to balance a checkbook, how to look and figure interest, I am really not too terribly concerned that they are not the great writer of the world. In other words, it seems to me it would be far better to focus on the specialties that the teacher will bring to the classroom, as opposed to a rather antiquated method of evaluating on certain standards. It's not a question of lowering the bar. If you're going to hire somebody in a tech school to teach automotive mechanics, what background do you want? It seems to me you want a mechanic. He doesn't have to be an academic. And if you're going to have someone who is teaching history, you want them to be really knowledgeable in history. The fact that they can't spell Charlemagne, I don't believe takes a thing away from it. Now, they should be encouraged to at least look the words up before they put them on the backboard. That's okay. The chalkboard, excuse me. I got to be specific here. But I just think Massachusetts is going the wrong direction. I think it's good, it is desirable to start screening candidates better, but I would think that you would screen the candidates in their specialty, and most of them are special, even at the elementary grades, the lower elementary, where you teach everything, there is still a pretty narrow box to put them in. I don't know if that makes any sense or not. If I were rated some way or other on my ability to do algebra, we'd be a hell of a problem for me. When it comes to fundamental, basic arithmetic, I can do that in my head as quicker than most people can with a calculator. But I'm lost in logarithms and plain old statistics was another one with a summation sign. I never got it. I'm not saying that makes me better or worse, but I'd hate to think that someone, not me, but someone like me was not considered for a program because of a weakness for an area that they don't propose they can teach. If you're teaching English, they knock you out because you can't speak Mandarin Chinese? I don't think so. Anyway, I just thought it was the kind of thing that deserved more attention, because that type of approach to education is contagious. People, hey, that's a good idea. We'll raise, and I have no problem with raising them, but I think I'd raise it selectively. Our telephone number, 800-743-8000, 800. 743-8000. I thank you for waiting. Durham, South Carolina. Hello.
How you doing this evening, Bruce?
Couldn't be better, Tiger.
got a question for you, sir. I work as a consultant here in North Carolina, and I do some travel in my car, which I'm required to use for business purposes.
You work for a company or you work independently?
I work for a company.
Okay.
For a consulting company. And I need to give you a little bit of background to kind of build the story up. I was the first consultant that was hired where a company car was not provided, and I was told that I would be paid mileage.
How much?
32.5 cents a mile, which is the IRS rate.
I was about to point that out, right.
And however, we charged our client 38 cents a mile, and understand that's an administrative fee.
All right, you can do that. They can do that.
Yeah, they can do that, and you know they're getting a subsidy on my personal car.
Well, they're also you got to mark everything up. When money goes through your hands in a business, if you don't mark it up, you've lost money in that transaction.
Well,
it costs something.
Yeah, I understand to cut a check and everything else.
Everything, all the things are involved in it. Go ahead.
Right, but that's only one of the issues with this. You know, I'm paying about $100 extra a year on car insurance so that I have coverage in case I'm in a wreck.
What kind of coverage?
Well, instead of just having personal use.
Oh, you mean because it's a business use, you pay more?
Right.
Yeah, that's true.
And also, you know, I have AAA coverage. My company won't pay.
Well, you don't need AAA coverage. It's nice to have, but you don't have to have it.
Well, if my car breaks down, I have to have it towed or something like that.
Well, you can get towing insurance in the ordinary policy for about $2 a year.
Okay, $2 a year.
I mean, maybe there's more in yours, but somewhere it's very nominal. But that doesn't. Okay, so where are we going with all this?
Well, where I'm going is about a month ago I spent $475 for new tires. I'm going to have to put new brakes on the car. I probably put 10 or 12,000 business miles on the car.
All right, let's start. First of all, none of those things matter. Let's start with that. How old is this car?
It's 3 years old.
And how many miles on it?
When I started, it had 29. Now it has about 48.
Well, you're going to start to have these things: brakes, tires. All these are just natural wear things. That's all included in your 31 cents a mile.
But 31 or 32 cents a mile is not going to keep a car on the road.
You'll argue with the IRS about that. Depends on the price of the car. Let's do a little arithmetic here. Let's say it's 30 cents. The heck with the other pennies. All right.
All right.
100 miles is $3. 100 miles is $30. 1,000 miles is 300, right?
Right.
10,000 is 3,000. You have $12,000 plus dollars if you bought this car new. Now, you're going to tell me that it cost you $12,000 to operate it?
No, it doesn't cost $12,000 to operate it.
It doesn't cost you 32 cents a mile to operate it either.
Well, by the time you look at all the maintenance...
Yeah, but a lot of that maintenance is on you. It's your private car. Pay yourself. I'll tell you what you do. Do it on paper.
All right.
You take the mileage they pay you.
Okay.
Whatever the number is, keep track of legitimately how many miles are pleasure. Pay yourself 32.5 cents a mile. And I'll bet you'll have enough money in that fund to take care of anything you're talking about. See, you're taking the personal stuff and not even counting it. Now, you may say, well, I don't count the gas, but how about the wear every time you hit the brakes? Every time you take some rubber off the tires? The belts deteriorate over a period of time and so forth.
Well, and I've paid for, like, a new serpentine belt.
Without respect to that.
The depreciation on the car.
Well, that's all. But you have a car anyway.
Right.
The depreciation, or let me do it this way. In the last 6 months, how many miles you put in the car altogether?
Well, in the past 9 months, it's probably been about 18,000 miles in the past 6 months.
All right, I can do it that way.
We'll say 12,000.
Total. Not business, total.
I would say about 12,000.
And how many of those were business miles?
I would say probably about, I'll say 6,000.
Half and half.
Right.
All right. So you were paid for 6,000 miles a dime. $180? No, that's not right. $1,800. Is that correct? 6,000 times a dime is 600.
Yeah.
Times 1,800 miles. Well, it's almost $2,000.
Right.
Now, did you have over $4,000 with expenses in that period of time? Because half is yours. It's on you.
I don't think that I had that many expenses. Now, one of my other concerns, though, Bruce, is, and we're looking at this in a vacuum, also considering the other consultants have company cars with all...
That's a whole different matter, you see. We're just examining the deal you have. A lot of companies are getting away with company cars. Why? It's cheaper to have you do what you're doing.
It'd be cheaper for me to be an independent consultant and not pay me medical coverage or anything, but, they're not going to keep people doing that.
Well, that's not necessarily true either. I'm not going to get into that. There's a lot of ways to skin that cat and a lot of ways to make it come out for you if it fits. The fact is, look, they're paying you the going rate, and you got a choice. Take it or leave it. If you leave it, you'll leave the job. I don't believe you're coming out ahead behind on the deal, however. All things taken into account. You can take the depreciation on your car. How much? Well, you bought a used car. It doesn't matter, because the government says I think at $15,000 a car you're in a luxury car, which is absurd. I mean, you may be able to buy a used Yugo for that kind of money, but that's another program. I don't think you're being abused, although I think the big rub here is the other guy's got it and you don't.
Well, whenever there's an equity like this, they have full use of it for personal and business use. I understand they're getting away from it, but meanwhile...
Well, they couldn't take it away from the guys who had it, but they're not giving it to anybody else. Isn't it?
They're not adding some other incentive for somebody like myself.
Well, why should they?
Well, if
they added another incentive...
If they want to retain people, I think they should consider it.
Are you leaving?
I probably will be. I mean...
just on the basis of the car?
Well, there's the car issue and then also my compensation.
That's a different issue, you see.
So I've got two issues.
But the car issue, and I got to get going here, but the car issue, if they gave you some compensatory treatment because you didn't get a car, they may as well give you a car. The extra money is flowing out. They're trying to stem that. When you have a cut is a cut is a cut.
Right. But one of the issues I mentioned, we talked about expenses with, I get 32.5 cents, they charge 38 cents a mile.
Well, so what? Well, when you do some consulting, how much do you earn a year?
$60,000.
Oh, but they're charging the clients $100 or more.
Yeah, I mean, they charge $110 an hour.
Well, whatever, it doesn't really matter. They got to take in more money than they're paying you, or they can't keep you hanging around.
Yeah, and...
Well, the same thing is true with this.
But I guess my point is, Bruce, when they're saying that there's an administrative fee for all these expenses, why not consider a $20, $25 flat administrative fee?
Let me explain something to you.
All right.
You call your attorney. If the attorney has a paralegal, he may pay him or her, pick a number, $25 an hour. You'll get billed at $50.
I understand.
Well, the same thing is true here. If they make a phone call, you get it's goosed. Everything that they bill you for, there's a profit involved, gross profit. And there's no reason for you to feel bad about that. Hey, I got to let you go, guy. I hope things work out well for you. The compensation issue is the one where I really get my teeth in. I'm Bruce Williams. Adrian, Michigan. Hello there.
Hello?
Yes, sir.
Hi, Bruce. This is Roy from Adrian.
Yeah, Roy. What's happening?
I got a question for you concerning selling a house.
All right.
Currently, my house is listed with a real estate agent, which is going to expire at the end of this month.
How long has it been listed?
It'll be 6 months at the end of this month.
Okay.
And the question is, if once the listing expires, my next-door neighbor had said that he would give me a written offer on it. Now,
well, you got to be a little careful on that one. He kind of shot himself in the foot legally.
Okay.
Because he said something during the listing period.
Okay.
Which makes it commissionable to the agent.
That was my question.
Well, legally and morally, it's commissionable to the agent. Can you get away with it? I'm not going to speculate on that.
Okay. As a general question, then let's ignore the neighbor and say
if you contact anybody during the listing period and make a deal, unless there is a specific exclusion, which sometimes you say, well, I talked to John Smith and Mary Jones, and they may come through with a deal. Okay, they write it right in. John Smith, Mary Jones, not commissionable.
Okay.
Other than that, anything that happens during the listing period is commissionable.
Even if there's nothing been, it's all verbal at this point?
It has nothing to do with anything. They came to you during the listing agreement. Now, as a practical matter, if you both lie, I doubt if anybody's going to catch you.
Okay.
But that's entirely up to you.
Okay. Now, if I decide to say he doesn't give me an offer and I just try to sell the house on my own to somebody else,
if that somebody else was brought to your attention either by their own efforts, your efforts, or your agent's efforts during the listing period, there is a period that follows. Read your contract. I don't know how long it'll be. But you're still responsible for a commission.
All right. Well, I guess that answers my question then.
That's where it is, kid. I do wish you well.
Thank you, sir.
Demarest, New Jersey. Hello there. Welcome to my world.
Hi, Mr. Williams.
Yes, indeed.
Hi, this is Dolores Lapena. I'm having a problem. I had a triple angioplasty back in December. The bill was $28,000 and change. My insurance company paid $10,500, right?
I'm listening.
The doctor who did the angioplasty on me, he wants $17,000 up front.
Well, not up front. He already did it.
Well, he will not exceed. My insurance company paid $10,000.
Did you had the angioplastic done? Did you not?
Yes, I did. It was an emergency.
Well, wait a while. But that's not up front then. Up front means before the action.
Right. But he wants the $17,000 and change now.
Why will your insurance company pay so little?
Because we have a policy that they only pay $12,000.
On any given illness, or?
Yes, on any surgery.
Well, you have a bad policy, don't you?
Yes, I do.
You had that privately or through work?
Through work.
That's a severe limitation. Well, what is that noise in the background?
That's my bird, sir.
Gosh. Well, it seems to me you're going to have to go talk to the guy. I'm assuming you don't have the $17,000.
No, I don't. And
well, you better go talk to him.
He called me at work, and I told him that I would give him $50 a month. And he said, why? And I told him that I have other expenses. And he said to me he wants more than $50 a month. He wants
dear, $50 a month would take 30 years.
Right.
Without interest.
Right. He was charging me interest, sir, and I told him that he could not do it.
Why can't he?
Well, I deal with hospitals and doctors, and they're not charging me interest, sir.
Maybe they aren't, but they can.
They can?
Yes, ma'am. You owe them the money.
Right.
I'm not unsympathetic. You have a crummy hospitalization plan. That's unfortunate. Yeah. But I mean, you might have died without his help.
Right.
And $50 a month is not going to get it. So they said it would take you 30 years.
Right.
Discounting the interest. Put it another way, at $18,000, you'd have somewhere around $1,500 with interest a year, and you want to pay him $600 a year. You'd be digging a bigger hole. You got to work out a better deal than that. I'm Bruce Williams. Harrisburg, PA. Hello there.
Hi, Bruce.
Good evening.
Bruce, I'd like your opinion on something here.
Let us talk.
All right, sir. I have an investment in a trust income for my retirement. Last year it produced about 6%. And I'm taking more than that out. So
6% is pretty putrid return. Yeah, I was thinking more of putrid investments. What do they have this money invested in?
Well, primarily investment contracts and stable value contracts. This was from a company retirement fund.
But how old are you now?
I'm 70.
Well, I don't know what your risk tolerance is.
Well, I went to one of the financial advisors locally here, and he's suggesting I take it out and put it in a portfolio of common and preferred stocks.
How much money are we speaking of here?
$400,000.
You gotta be kidding. With that kind of dough, there are any number of avenues open to you, and 6% is a crime. A crime. I'm not going to tell you your guy is right or wrong, but he sounds like a lot more right than wrong.
Yeah.
But, and you should be able to whack a deal out for reduced commissions, too.
Mm-hmm.
Because of the volume in your account.
Yeah.
But 6% in the last year, that's $24,000.
Yeah.
When in fact it should have earned, in my opinion, somewhere around $80,000, $75,000. Now you may have a very low risk tolerance. What else do you have beside this?
Social Security.
That's it.
Yeah.
Well, there are those who are going to say you can't afford to stick your neck out, and there may be some merit to that position. Yeah. But certainly, I think somewhere in the moderate area is not going to hurt. You could have probably done, God forbid, better on an annuity.
Well, there's more to it, really.
What is the more to it?
Well, the fund was managed by our company while I was working there, and the return was better. Now, last fall, they turned the entire retirement plan over to...
Different fund. Go ahead.
All right, sorry. Anyway, they turned this over to a mutual fund company, and because I happened to have been away visiting children in Texas when this took place, and I had 3 months to make
switch. Okay,
yeah.
So you didn't do that. I mean,
I didn't do that.
I think we can agree, though, that the 6 points is not a good deal.
Right.
And unless things are changing radically, you want to get out.
Right.
I would at least talk to more than one individual.
Yeah.
With regard to what they recommend. Mm-hmm. But a blend is what you're looking for. The daily hiccups in a market shouldn't excite you too much.
No.
Now, we're not looking just for interest, you say.
Yeah.
You're looking for growth. Mm-hmm. And how do you get the money? Well, you sell off some shares if there's growth.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, nobody's paying the 30% that everybody's talking about on the market in interest. You've got to take growth into account.
Yeah.
And people say, what do I do then? Well, you got to sell off the oldest shares, so it's capital gains,
mm-hmm.
and take your money and have a hell of a time.
Yeah. Okay. Now this particular advisor, he charges 1%.
All right. He's a fee-based advisor. Is that correct?
Yeah.
But you can buy it from anybody.
Mm-hmm.
You can buy. Is that true or not?
Yeah, I would think so.
If he's recommending IBM, you can go to any broker online if you're a computer nerd and whatever.
Yeah.
He just takes 1 point of the amount of money you've got to invest. That's $4,000 in your case.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I have no problem with that.
Yeah.
It's called financial planner. It's not a bad idea at all.
Yeah. All right.
I do wish you well, guy.
Thank you very much.
Live long and well. Bloomington, Indiana. Hello there.
Hi.
Hi there.
I have a question about my credit card. Actually, I kind of need some advice. I'm 21, but when I got my credit card, I was 19. I'm a full-time student, but I've got my credit. I haven't used my credit card in a year and a half, but it's about $5,000 now. So I can't afford to make my minimum payments. I'm not sure exactly what I can do about it.
Well, how much are your minimum payments?
Well, since I have fees and stuff, because it's like late payments and whatnot, and it's over I think the limit was $4,500. So right now it's a little expensive, I guess. Otherwise, if I could get it paid off, it'd be a couple $100 a month.
Well, let me ask you this. You mentioned you're a full-time student.
Mm-hmm.
You getting help from your parents?
No, I work 2 part-time jobs, and I pay all my rent and bills.
How many hours are you working outside of school?
Well, during the summer, I'm taking classes. I'm working close to 40 hours a week between the two.
Are you really?
Yeah. So, I'm working a lot, but my rent's $270, and I live in Bloomington, and it's kind of hard to get a job that pays well. If I was living somewhere else, I'd be okay.
What is it you can do?
What is it, what?
What can you do?
I'm not sure. I take in about $600 to $700 a month, but...
well, it's not enough.
No, it's not.
If you're working... Well, let's analyze that now.
Okay.
If you make minimum wage, which is $5-something an hour, if I'm not mistaken...
$5.15, I think.
All right, well, let's call it $5 an hour.
Okay.
That's $200 a week.
Mm-hmm.
on minimum wage. And I have to believe that a bright girl can do better than that. I mean, you do a whole lot better at serving cocktails.
Well,
I've got cocktail waitresses working for us. I know what they make.
well, I just turned 21, so
You only had to be 18 to be a cocktail waitress.
not here.
Everywhere.
Not to be a server in Bloomington.
I think you're wrong.
You can come try me for a job.
It has been tested, I believe, that you can't discriminate against someone for their age of being under 21.
Well, I wouldn't be able
You
to
can't
serve
drink the
liquor.
stuff. No, honey, I own a bunch of saloons.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm telling you, we could hire kids 18 to serve.
Okay.
They can't drink it, but they can serve it. I think, and I remember this. Well, it
I've
doesn't
always
matter.
been told I couldn't.
By whom?
Well, I used to wait tables back home, and they'd always have to bring my alcohol out for me.
Well, it may be. Maybe in your state that may be true. I don't think you were from Indiana.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, somebody out. Just want you. This is an aside. I'd be interested if there's somebody out there in Indiana that knows the law there. I'd be appreciative of hearing from you. Can an 18-year-old serve alcohol? I can tell you in Pennsylvania, Florida, Texas. I'm trying to think where we own liquor licenses. Georgia, you can definitely have a kid. And I said, because you see, you're not a kid, and you're a full-fledged, grown-up adult, except for one thing, and that's drinking alcohol when you're 18 in this country.
Okay.
You can vote, have children, have an abortion, whatever the law allows, without anybody, they're very serious, without anybody asking you. Now, having said all that,
okay,
I think what you're going to have to find a way to increase your income. And that means either get a better job, or work more hours. And I know that's not easy when you're in college. But you see, you screwed up pretty bad. Is that a fair statement?
That's a fair statement.
Okay, well listen, you think you're the only one, huh? We've all done it one way or another.
Okay.
But now it's time to pay the piper. Now it's time to determine whether you put your makeup on a woman or a little girl.
Is there, let's see, anyone are there like corporations or whatnot that, will handle that for you, and then you pay them instead?
Well, there's one outfit called CCCS, Consumer Credit Counseling Service. And you will have to be behind. Well, apparently you are behind now. And they will attempt to negotiate an arrangement where you can pay over a period of time where you pay them and they pay the creditors, yes. And there's no charge or little charge for that. They're non-profit.
Okay. But that would...
CCCS.
CCCS?
Yes, ma'am.
Is that a pretty good thing to look into?
Well, it depends upon the severity of the problem. If you feel like you're hopelessly behind and you can't make the payments, yes, they are good folks to talk to.
Okay.
But again, this is where discipline is going to come into. Do you have a social life?
Yes.
Sure. Well, you have to give that up.
Okay.
You know, you think I'm blowing smoke in your face. I know that. Is that not true? Tell the truth.
No, I mean, I've kind of been putting it off for a long time.
Right, but nonetheless, do you really believe the things I told you? I hope so, because I was there, sweetheart.
All right.
Only I had 3 kids. No, you think I'm kidding? You're 21, right? I was just getting back from a war when I was 21.
I have no kids.
I had it behind me, but I had a kid as a freshman, and a kid as a junior, and a kid as a senior. And my wife was not gainfully employed during that period of time. So it can be done. It isn't easy, I understand that. And screwing up is easy because I've screwed up more than anybody you're ever going to talk to. But got a couple of home runs, too.
Okay.
But, yeah, go down and tell the spokes of CCS that I suggested that you drop by.
Okay.
Fair enough?
All right, thank you very much.
Good luck, sweetheart. Ain't easy. It just definitely isn't easy. But, you know, like the guy who walks into the Las Vegas craps table and says, can you raise the limit? What for? I lost a lot of money. I want to get it back. Get it back the same way you lost it, he's going to tell you. The analogy, I think, is a good one. And I'm Bruce Williams. We go to Carrying Crow. Well, there's a name and a half. Louisiana. Hello there.
Mr. Williams, good evening.
Hi.
The proper pronunciation is Karen Crow.
Karen Crow. Okay.
Louisiana.
I stand very much corrected. What can I do for you?
That's very... first of all, I want to thank you for taking my call. And I also want to thank you for providing a wonderful service to multiple communities.
You're very generous. What can I do for you this evening?
Well, my mom has some CDs that are maturing, and she's had a massive stroke and paralyzed, and the family wants to get together and decide what should we do with this money that is, how should we reinvest this?
How old is your mom?
Mom is approaching 70.
Well, she's a relatively young woman, although you said she had a stroke, so her health is not as good as it might be.
Yes, sir. That is correct. And we're going to have a family meeting.
Well, hold on.
Okay.
How much money is involved here?
Well, it's going to come in stages. The this first CD that's going to mature.
No, how much is it altogether? How much?
Probably 400.
400,000.
Yes, sir.
Well, does your mom depend upon this for income? Is that the story?
Pretty much, yeah. She's bedridden at home, and my sister's taking care of her.
Yeah, but that doesn't answer the question.
Okay.
Does she? This is money that she has to live on. Is that correct?
She has other incomes, other investments. This is pretty much CDs that are investing, and
well, you mentioned they were CDs. I mean, CDs are a lousy investment.
Right.
Well, are they not?
That is correct. That's why I was calling you. We were thinking about going to a balanced mutual fund.
I think that might have some merit.
And just for, I'm trying to convince her to put it into something relatively safe that will bring quite a bit more return than the CDs will.
Well, you and I are on the same page. There's no question about that. I have no problem with that. I think that you're on the right track.
Okay, and just in general, as a low-risk investment, the balanced mutual funds, would that be a recommended investment?
Well, I'm not about to recommend anything. That's not my function here.
As opposed to CDs.
Well, I mean, almost anything is desirable opposed to CDs.
Yeah.
They're paying nothing.
Right.
If she's real lucky, she'll be getting 6%, $24,000 a year on $400,000. Not enough.
Yeah, I think she's getting 4%.
Well, that's pitiful. That's pitiful.
And also, I want to ask you, as we reinvest these CDs, would it be wise to invest them other than wholly under her name?
Well, we got a problem there. You see, you're converting it. First of all, there's no taxes involved in your mom for your mother. If you're telling me her worth is $400,000 or $500,000, there's no taxes, no inheritance taxes. Now, if you're anticipating the fact that she might go into a nursing home, we can argue the morality. I'm not going to do that, but you got to make the move 3 years in advance.
Well, hopefully she'll never have...
Oh, but I'm just telling you, you got to do it 3 years in advance if that's what you want to do. And she can claim against her a lifetime exemption if she's a mind to do that. So once again, there'd be no taxable event.
Okay, so that's pretty much my second question, was the inheritance taxes.
There is none. At the numbers you're talking about, why discuss it? There isn't any.
Okay, well, I didn't realize that.
Well, every person right now has a $600,000 exemption. Under the new tax law, that's going to get up there to about $1 million, $1.2 million, and family businesses have a special, and farms have another exemption somewhere in there. But you don't have a tax problem. So why discuss it?
Well, that's why I called you.
Okay. I wish you well, kid.
Thank you, Bruce.
Thank you so much for your call. But let's take a little time out to kind of rest and regroup. I'm Bruce Williams. Let's try Fargo, North Dakota, and see who's home. Hello there.
Hello, Bruce.
Hi.
Thanks for taking my call.
I'm pleased you're here.
Got a question. A couple years ago, my father-in-law asked me to be the executor of his will.
Of his estate?
Yeah, right.
Okay.
And I'm married to his daughter.
Well, that works. If you want a father-in-law, you got to marry the daughter.
That's right. And but he has 3 other children of his own. He has a son.
Yeah.
And I guess I've never done this before. I'm not sure what's all involved, and I'm afraid there's going to be could be some potential for some hard feelings. And
well, look, let's start at the beginning, okay? You didn't approach him; he approached you.
Right.
All right. Then seems to me it's obvious that, in his opinion, and this the only opinion that counts right here, in his opinion, he was more comfortable naming you as the executor of his estate than his son. Or he would have named his son.
Right.
All right. End of story. You see, this is his. Only he can call these shots. Now, you said you've never done this before.
Right.
Is this guy a very wealthy guy?
Right now his estate's probably. I don't even know what it is, and I don't know anything about the details, but I would imagine it's probably around $400,000.
All right. Well, if it's that at that number, you don't have to worry about taxes. Your job is to carry out the wishes of the decedent. If he says, "I want to have my whole flock of Holsteins painted pink," well, get your brush out. Now, that's probably the point. Is he cannot direct you to do anything that's illegal.
Right.
And it will probably say something to the effect that you, as the executor, and you have access to all his money now, right?
Okay.
You will have. You are directed to pay off his lawful debts. You may be directed to dispose of some real estate. And then you're told who to give the money to and in what quantities or percentages. And you will have to file the will with the surrogate in the county where your father-in-law, when he does pass away, lived. The surrogate kind of oversees what you're doing. You may have to hire an attorney to guide you along, or you might want to hire an attorney to do the whole thing. It's going to cost you a lot more money if you do that. And subsequently cost the estate. After you get all these little loose ends tied up, then you distribute whatever's left in accordance with his wishes. That's it.
Okay. Dude, now, like, he's been married on his second marriage, and I don't know if he has any type of agreement, pre-agreement with his wife. His second wife had some other children. She didn't really have any assets.
Well, without respect to that, in the absence of a prenup, then I would bet they probably don't have a valid prenup. The wife, in most states, if not all, is entitled, no matter what he says, entitled to at least a third of the estate.
Okay.
And that's why you're going to engage an attorney. And the estate pays for the attorney too. It's not on you.
Sure.
Because if he could even say in the will, I don't know where you get a lawyer to draw it up. I don't get along with Mary. I don't want to have a dime. No, she still gets a third. Unless the will specifies, the will might say she gets 50%, or she can live in the house for life. It's called life tenancy. There's a whole lot of things you can say. But the crux of the matter is you got to say it in conformance with the law of the state where the will is drawn.
I see.
And that can vary rather dramatically from one place to another.
Can any of the people involved, named in the will, can contest it?
Absolutely. And it's not uncommon, if you anticipate that, to put something in there that says effectively, if any of the heirs contest this will, they are automatically dropped from the will. That kind of gets their attention. Good luck, guy. I'm Bruce Williams from Westwood One. Well, hello there. Hey, I'm really pleased you dropped in. I'm Bruce Williams. Welcome, my friends. Welcome to my world. It's a world where we talk about you and the things you get into. We'll do our best to extricate you've got a problem, but just sort of schmooze together and enjoy ourselves. The telephone number, 800-743-8000. 800-743-8000. We go to the Midwest, to one of the killer stations in the Midwest, WTMJ, Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Hello there.
Hi, how you doing, Bruce?
Doing very nicely, thank you.
All right, I started listening to you when I was about 7 years old before I'd go to bed at night.
Wow.
Quite a while ago.
Child abuse.
How long you had this station now?
Oh, we've been on the network. This is our 16th or 17th year. I'm starting to lose track.
Okay, well, hey, I'm 25, so I probably started listening to then right about when
It would appear so.
Yeah, and I saw you at the Mirage live once, too, so that was kind of nice. Got a chance to meet you.
Well, I'm glad. What can we do for you this evening?
I'm interested in your opinion on the possibility of running a motel from 250 miles away.
Pretty damn difficult. How did you... Why do you have this conundrum?
Well, I came into contact with an individual that has a motel that he wants to sell, and it's in an area. I was calling him regarding some real estate surrounding his motel, and he let me know that the motel was for sale also. And it's in an area that I really like a lot. It's a vacation area.
Well, why must you do it from a distance?
Well, because I have a business established in the area. I'm in real estate.
What kind of business?
I'm in real estate. I sell real estate.
Well, no. The answer to my opinion is you can't run a business. How big a motel is this?
24 unit.
You can't do it absentee. It's too small to have a full-time management staff and whatever. You just wouldn't carry the ball. If you want to do it, go do it. Be a motel operator. Make the beds. Clean the ground. Because in a small operation like that, you're going to do a lot of that stuff.
So you don't think there's enough?
I think it's foolish. How much do they want for it?
Well, see, that's the thing that makes it kind of interesting to me. They want $700,000 for it. The guy, the reason he's selling it is when he built the place, he somehow he got a loan from the area where he, bought the motel, and he only has basically he's got no equity in the place. He's got like a $700,000. He sent me all the paperwork already.
You're talking about something like $29,000 a unit here. 24 into whatever that number was. I forgot. I did it in my head.
24 into $700,000.
$750,000 or something like that. Yeah. It's round numbers. $30,000 a unit for a mom and pop motel. A lot of money. How much does he get?
It's only 4 years old.
I don't care. What does he get for per night?
$49.
$50. And I'm sure he's not. What is he running at? What percentage of occupancy?
I don't have the percentage. I do have some numbers in front of me as far as gross sales and stuff.
Well, he would have a potential for $1,200 a day. If he was fully occupied every day, which he clearly would not be.
He's not even close to that right now.
Right. Sounds to me like he wants a lot more money from this. Well, tell me, what did he gross last year?
His gross sales last year were only $150-some thousand.
And he wants $750,000.
He's got his liens. I mean, on the paperwork he sent me showing me what he owes on it. That's what he's got into it.
Well, that may be, but
$682,000.
How much?
$682,000 in liens he's got.
He's doing no business. He's doing a little over $2,000 a week. That means when we say it'd be 2 for 100, 20 for 1,000, he's only getting 40 nights a week.
I got his July 19.
And he has a potential for we say 24 times 7. He's got the potential for 168 nights. And he's only getting 40 to 50 nights. What does that tell you? He's in a dumper.
His July 97 numbers, he did 20,000 in gross sales.
Yeah, but that's summertime.
Yeah, I suppose it's probably a better time of the year.
No. Of course it's a better time of the year. It's in a resort area in the mountains someplace. What's he doing up there in January?
Well, snowmobile, big time.
Maybe so. Well, look, you want to be convinced that you can do this. I'm telling you, I'm telling you, you're buying a ticket to the Titanic. Now,
well, that's what I called, Bruce.
Well, you can do it yourself. Maybe the numbers are way out of whack. Let's start with that. But
how do you figure out how much? I mean, how do
I'm looking for return on. Let me do it this way: if I had $7,500, right?
Yep.
I could go to the marketplace and get 10% in a heartbeat. I could do a lot better than that. That's $75,000 a year, and I don't have to own a motel, and I don't have to do any work, make any beds. And Red Lion, Pennsylvania. Hello there.
Hello, Bruce.
Hi. Where in the world is Red Lion?
Well, it's south of York.
On the Pennsylvania Dutch Company, huh? Pennsylvania Dutch area.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Well, let's talk. If you have a hex sign on your barn, so much the better.
No, I don't.
What's up?
But I have... I thank you, first of all, for accepting my call, because I need to feel good about the decisions that I'm making regarding the rest of my life and my family's life.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm not so sure. You understand, if I don't agree, I'm going to tell you so.
Oh, I'm glad you will. I'm glad.
Okay, let's talk. What's on your mind?
Okay, we've had a lifetime commitment to our child. She is mentally and physically disabled, and she's 40 years old.
Wow.
And I want to make the best decisions that I can, and I seem to be the person at the helm of things for some dumb reason or another. My husband's retirement, and he works for a company he's been with for 34 years. But it has me losing some energy as I begin to realize I woke up and here I am. And we haven't done all those wonderful things I hear about on your program where we've not had the opportunity, I should say, or we've put our peanuts in another basket, if you know what I mean.
Yes, I understand. Go ahead.
Okay. But we'd like to get him retired before he's 65. He's now 63. And the reason being that I could use some help. I have my hands full. My daughter receives Social Security, not really, supplementary security income for the disabled or blind. And also, we're trying to think, I have a lot of debts that I've incurred. And, we have a mortgage, a 30-year mortgage, in fact.
Let's separate things out. You say you have a lot of debts?
Yeah.
How much?
Well, about $3,500 a month.
A month?
Yeah.
How much is the principal amount
That
of debt?
includes our food and everything.
Well, those aren't debts. Let's talk about your debts. How much do you owe? Never mind a month. How much?
Oh, well, my mortgage is like $900 a month.
All right, but that's the mortgage is a place to live.
Yeah.
What else?
I have $1,100 other than that.
Well, that's a month. That doesn't tell me anything. How much do you owe?
The totals.
No. Look, the mortgage we're not going to count right now because you got to have a place to live.
Yeah.
How much do you owe in, what is it, credit cards, that kind of stuff?
No, I have one credit card.
Well, what do you owe all this money on?
$5,000.
How much?
$5,000.
All right, you got a $5,000 balance there. What else?
I have a car and a truck that I have acquired and have to pay for probably in the neighborhood of $13,000 and
$7,000?
Yeah.
Why do you need a car and a truck?
Well, I went without a car for about a year, and for myself it didn't matter. But our daughter was in a group home at the time, and when she was at risk, she was getting hurt. So we brought her home, and I had to have a car, so in case I have to have an emergency situation.
Well, why did you need a car and a truck? That's what I'm asking.
Well, the truck, he thought, he got a good buy on the truck.
Yeah, the answer is you didn't need a car and a truck.
No.
It might have been a good buy, but a good buy is not a good buy if you can't afford it. How much does your husband earn right now?
About 56.
And how much do you earn?
I don't earn any. That's one of the things I'm opting for, though. I've handed in several proposals to the state and the county, and I'd like to get paid for my services. I know it sounds terrible.
No, I understand, because your daughter, if you weren't in the picture, they would have to pick up the expense.
Right.
Well, I don't know if that's going to happen, but how much money do you guys...
Not.
Pardon me?
Probably not.
How much money do you guys have stashed away?
We don't have any money.
In that case, she can't afford to retire whether he wants to or not. I mean, how much would he get in retirement?
Probably about $13 from his company he works for, and probably about $1,200 Social Security.
He cannot afford. He can't afford to retire.
No.
And not probably at 65 either.
Probably not.
No, ma'am. You just don't have the income.
There was something that I wanted to ask you because we took out some insurance policies last year.
Mm-hmm.
And being at his age, of course, and he's a smoker. So these are term policies I'm talking about.
Yes, ma'am.
But it was put in place so that we could pay off the home if something happens to him.
Yes, ma'am, but they probably go away at age 70.
Yeah, something like the premiums get very high, too.
No, it's not a question that premiums get high. Many term policies just go away at age 70.
Uh-huh.
I don't know if that's one of them, maybe higher.
I don't think they do. I think they stay.
But the premium,
I said, they'd be so expensive, we'd have to convert them.
Yes,
but
ma'am.
Someone told us about maximizing our pension. You know,
well, I think if you're saying that you take the max, but then you take the difference and buy insurance.
Right.
So that the person passes away, the principal passes to their heirs, not back to the pension company. And the big problem in this whole scenario, you just described to me as far as your old man is concerned, smoking.
Yes.
It's going to kick the premium props beyond where that would be a practical proposition. But the reality is, from what you're telling me, it is not in the cards for this man to retire now or in the immediate future. Much as it be unpalatable. I'm Bruce Williams. Minnesota, hello there.
Hi, Bruce. How you doing? Thanks
Just
for taking
fine,
my call.
thank you.
Bruce, my problem is I'm thinking about taking a mechanic at a garage to small claims court.
Mm-hmm.
The problem is I had some work done on my car, and the job only lasted 3 days. And then when I took it back, he doesn't seem to want to do anything about it.
What kind of a repair did he do?
Repaired on my air conditioner, and the bill was $306.
All right, but what was the symptom before, and what's the symptom now, or maybe they're the same?
Okay, my clutch on my compressor burnt up.
Mm-hmm.
So he, when I took it to the garage, he recommended putting in a used compressor for half the price.
Mm-hmm.
He says, I can get you a new one, but a used one works fine.
Mm-hmm.
So I asked him, I said, are they guaranteed? He says, oh yeah, they're all checked out. They're working fine when we put them in. So I went with that route. And he says, you have any problem, you come back to see me. 3 days later, I had a problem. And now he doesn't want to listen to me.
What was the problem?
It just doesn't work anymore, and it's leaking real bad.
Leaking what, Freon?
Yes, sir. There's no Freon left in it. All leaked out within 3 days.
And he doesn't want to talk to you?
He says, I'll talk with the junkyard where he got the used one at. And so a week went by. I never heard anything. So I got in touch with him again. He says they agreed to go with another compressor, but that's it. I'd have to pay for the labor and all of the Freon all over again.
That's nonsense.
That's what I said, and I even tried to work some type of deal out with him, you know, because he kept saying, you can't expect me to work for nothing. So my comeback was, well, it appears to me that I've paid for nothing.
Good point. No, I think you're probably in a small claim situation.
Right.
I don't know that you're going to prevail, but I mean, I can't look into the judge's head.
Right.
But I think that's what we're talking about here.
Yeah. Well, we know what I was thinking. Even if it was a judge, if he took his car to a garage and paid that kind
of... Well, yeah, but that's beside the point.
Right.
What is pertinent here is the facts that you described, and I think that if everything else is equal, if what he told you and what he's doing are two different things.
Right.
And the fact that he didn't make any money is of absolutely no moment.
Right.
None whatever. Too bad, Charlie. You were the guy who took his money. You gave this assurance that you're a professional and this is going to work. Now you got to stand behind it.
Right. Okay. Thank you very much, Bruce.
You're very, very welcome. I hope it works out well for you. Ypsilanti, I think it's a great name. It's Ypsilanti, Michigan. Hello.
That's Ypsilanti.
Yeah, did I screw it up?
Well, I heard a beep or something, so maybe...
No, I said Ypsilanti.
Yeah.
I think I've been there, as a matter of fact. What's on your mind?
Hey, thanks for taking my call. And I was interested in becoming a heavy hauler, that is in trucking.
Mm-hmm.
I was just kind of curious as to how do I go about obtaining the contracts?
Well, that's the trick in any enterprise is to get the business.
Mm-hmm.
And I have no idea what you're going to have to do. I don't know who in your area. You say heavy hauler.
Mm-hmm. You know, gravel, sand, you know.
You're going to have a dump truck, you mean?
Yes. A double tandem gravel hauler.
Mm-hmm. Well, like anything else, You got to find your customers, and I can't. First of all, you got to know who your customers are, potential customers, and then you got to find out why they're in all likelihood all using somebody now.
Well, here in southeastern Michigan, we're anticipating a slight boom. You know, we're getting new stadiums and casinos and road repair and things of the such.
But your customers or potential customers still are using somebody now for their needs. Making the assumption that the companies they are using now have the capacity to take more business if it is generated as you described. Then the next question is, why should they come to you? Why should they do business with you?
Good question.
Well, you got to have an answer for that. There may be a good answer.
Hey, I can put one more truck on the road.
Well, there may be a lot of answers, and you may get the overflow to begin with.
Right.
If things are going along, there are going to be days when the guys just can't get enough aggregate to a job.
Right.
But you got to call on the people that would buy that service. That's what it comes down to.
Basically, I got to grab the yellow pages and, just go right down
cold call. Let them know who you are, what you charge, how quickly you're available, and all that kind of good stuff.
Would it be advantageous to join a union, like the Teamsters or anything?
Well, I don't know that. I mean, they have no idea what the environment is there. They're not going to do anything for you as an independent trucker. Not that I can see.
They're not going to do anything?
What are they going to do for you? You cut your own deals.
Oh, yeah. Well, the reason why I asked is I was eventually hoping to train and put a driver on the road.
Well, that's fine. And maybe there's a union jurisdiction or may not be. I don't know the laws of your state. You're going to have to know that. But that's the first thing you got to do is get to work. Let's take the most important things first. Most important is to get to work.
Right.
I do wish you well, guy.
All right, thanks.
Our telephone number 800-743-8000, 800-743-8000. Franklin, Wisconsin. Hello there.
Hi, Bruce. This is so cool that I'm talking to you.
It is crazy and cool.
It really is, because my husband and I listen to you so much, and we've got a problem. And I said to my husband, let's call Bruce and see what he says. So
let us talk about it.
So neat. My husband was hurt at work, and it's his back. And he had a little bit of problem with his employer as far as they sent him to a couple different doctors, and then finally it was my husband's suggestion to go to a chiropractor. And he found out that he has, now he found out that he has arthritis in his back. And I guess what we're anticipating is they're going to forget the injury to his back and say, well, it's arthritis. Now, he's been going twice a week for therapy since this has happened, and this has happened a few months ago. And my first question is, does he have... and another thing is his employer or the workman's comp has not paid any of the doctor bills or the chiropractor yet. So we're afraid that if this isn't paid in a certain amount of time, is that going to go on our credit report?
I would stop. Let's put credit up. Let's not even make that part of the equation, all right?
Okay. And a question that I have is, does he have up to a year to go to this chiropractor, and at the end of the year, because his chiropractor is leaning towards his back is never going to be the same as it was before this injury, and he's also in the Army Reserves, and when he went for the 2 weeks, he was on restriction. He was on restriction with work, but because they were giving him such a difficult time at work, he took himself off the restriction at work, but he did still have the restriction, and now they're trying to blame it on the reserves, and
this is getting entirely too complicated.
Exactly. And see, this...
Let's cut to the chase. Does your husband have a workers' comp attorney?
Does my husband have a what?
A workers' compensation attorney.
Is this something he would have to do on his own? Or?
Yes, ma'am. The hire to represent him.
Okay, this is, I guess, what I was leading to is because his chiropractor had suggested an attorney to him, so would that be a good idea at this time?
Well, I don't know if the one that the chiropractor is recommending is a good idea.
Oh, okay.
But I do know that your husband is way over his head right now.
Right.
And he does need representation, yes.
Okay, how do we go about doing this? I mean, because I've dealt with attorneys in the past, and I've had some not so good attorneys. Okay, how do you?
I can't tell you how you rate them.
How do you go about? You go through the bar association.
You can do that, and you tell them you want a workers' comp specialist, and they'll give you half a dozen names, and you got to go talk to them.
Do we wait till?
You would wait till tomorrow morning and make the phone call.
Oh, so we should do this right away.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Well, I guess it's my question. As always, it's great listening and now talking to you.
Well, you're a sweetheart. Is it still cool?
You are cool.
Okay, baby.
Have a great
Thank you so very much.
Bye-bye.
Telephone number, 800-743-8000. Let's take a breather. Yeah, I'm Bruce Williams. Cincinnati, hello there.
Hi, Bruce.
Hi.
Hi, how are you doing?
I am just fine.
Good, thanks. I wanted to talk to you. My husband and I were getting ready to go on vacation, and what we had planned to do was to go from Cincinnati and drive up to Minneapolis. We were going to stop over in Madison. I kind of thought that was too far to drive. And then,
Madison, Wisconsin?
Uh-huh. And then go from...
Let me see, you're where now?
In Cincinnati.
And you're going to go out them... kind of out of your way, isn't it? In fact, it is out of your way.
It may be. We were trying to think
listen, you're not to have a gun to your head when you're on vacation. If that's what you want to do, go for it. You want to drive over to Madison, stay in Madison, then you want to drive up to the Twin Cities.
Right.
Go to the Mall of America, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, what woman wouldn't? And then what?
And then we were going to stay there about 4 days, and then from there go to Wisconsin Dells for about 3 days.
You know, that's right down below you. Then what?
And then have a stopover in Chicago for about 2 days. So it's about 10 days is what it equals out to altogether.
Good midwestern vacation. It's okay.
Well,
now what?
My husband, that's kind of the problem, because he thinks that that's too long to spend in those places and that there wouldn't be enough to do. And we thought, well, maybe we could call you and see if you've been out that way or get your opinion on.
Oh, yeah, I've been just about everywhere, fortunately or unfortunately. You see, I'm the wrong guy to ask. I'm the guy that would go around the world on a weekend.
Mm-hmm.
3 days that in the Mall of America would be like putting my feet right on a fire. And yet I have acquaintances that could spend 3 days there and not even come up for air.
Mm-hmm.
Wouldn't be for me.
That may be the way it is for him. I don't know. But
Very possibly. Now, I could spend 2 or 3 days in Chicago and find plenty to keep me occupied and plenty of places to go and hotels to visit and museums and bars and the rest of it without any problem. I've always had very pleasant visits in Madison, but I don't know that there's any great tourist attractions in Madison, Wisconsin.
Mm-hmm.
You mentioned you're going to go up through. You're going to drop down into where was it in Wisconsin?
Wisconsin Dells.
What is that?
That is, it's a place where they have a lot of water parks, and I think it's you can go on boat rides up the river. And
okay, well that might be kind of neat.
Yeah.
And you're not that far. I'm just trying to get myself oriented here. Let me see where I was going. You might want to get over to the Mississippi and go on a Mississippi riverboat, which might be kind of fun.
Yeah. Because we have a 5-year-old daughter, and I think there would be things that she would enjoy.
The kid is a drag along. That's not a problem.
Yeah.
And there may or may not be some not amusement parks, but theme parks. There may be, I don't know if there's any Six Flags or any of that kind of stuff in that area. You just don't know.
Mm-hmm.
But there are lots of things. You might want to get hold of AAA and see what they would recommend. You may have to join, but that might be a worthwhile investment.
Would you recommend going from Minneapolis, when we're in the Twin Cities, going to South Dakota?
Well, it depends. It's a long hike from there to South Dakota.
Is it okay?
But Fargo is right across the river from Minnesota. But look, I don't know what you like. When my kids were little, we put the little trailer on the back of the car and drove all the way from the East Coast to the Grand Canyon. We didn't have any great plans along the way. We just went where the winds carried us, and we had a great deal of fun that way. And I think the kids enjoyed it, and they still talk about it as adults your age or older. Rather than a real tight structure, I'd suggest that. I'm Bruce Williams. from Westwood One. And how you doing? Yes, I'm looking right at you, Blue Eyes. Glad you dropped by. I'm Bruce Williams. Our telephone number to give us a shout is 800-743-8000. Rather than go through the whole litany of what we do, if you're new, hang in just for a little while. Maybe we can hook you. We talk about your life, your hopes, your ambitions, your dreams. We talk about the problems you're having and maybe a solution or two. No, we're not going to solve the big problems. No, we're not going to make things happen on a smooth basis in the Middle East. We are not going to balance the budget here. What we can do is maybe balance your household budget or get along with a neighbor next door as being a real first-class pain in that, you know, the spot. That's what it's all about. Now, if you'd like to join us, it's 800-743-8000. Los Alamos, New Mexico. Glad you're here.
I can't believe it, Bruce. This is a great honor.
Well, thank you so much.
My wife and I were driving home tonight and
said, son of a gun, let's give the old boy a call. What's on your mind, guy?
Well, let me get right to it. I just bought a house a few months ago, and had a exterminator in the house a few days ago, and he located some termite activity.
Well, when you bought the house, did you have the house inspected for termites?
Yes, the house was inspected.
All right, and you got a certificate saying the house is clean.
Right.
And you bought it 4 months ago, did you say?
I've been in the house 2 months.
All right. The likelihood is that infestation was there before you bought the house.
Okay.
Well, if that's the case, then you're going to go after the termite company that did the inspection. You can't hate the guy who sold the place. He didn't know.
Right.
But how obvious was it that these termites were around?
Well, it was on a wall that was it wasn't obstructed. It was in fact right by a doorway. So I don't believe there was any furniture.
Are these subterranean termites?
That hasn't been determined yet.
Well, you determined pretty quick just looking at the damage. Subterraneans live in the ground.
Okay.
And they come up to the Blue Plate Special, you know, the arch in your house.
Oh, I see.
And they have mud tunnels. They're even a dummy like me could figure out if they're subterranean or not.
Okay. But well, assuming they are subterranean.
Well, the big thing is that the inspector. You did hire an inspector to get the house inspected, and you had a termite inspection. Is that correct?
Actually, the sellers hired the termite inspector, and they had it. I do have a receipt saying the house was inspected, and they did not locate any termite activity.
All right, they're going to say that it wasn't obvious and they're not responsible. How much damage we got?
Right now, it's I don't know what the estimate for the damage is right now. The only estimate I have is for the treatment to kill the termites, and I'm not sure how much damage has been done.
Well, you see, you have two factors here. We're going to take the position that you would not have purchased this house with this condition. All right?
Right. That's true.
We're going to take that position. So now we're going to say, well, gee, what's it going to take us to get to where we ought to bid to begin with?
Okay.
In other words, to repair the damage and get the house treated to kill something or prevent it from coming back that had we known it was there, we wouldn't be owning this house.
Right.
So those are what you're looking for, it seems to me. And I think you're looking for it from the company that did the inspection. Because they're the guys whose expertise, in quotation marks, you relied upon.
Right.
To make the
I see
decision.
them being responsible for treatment of the house, but do you feel like they're also responsible for repair of any damage?
I think they're for both, yes, because you relied on them. You call them in or the owner, and you got to have a termite inspection in most parts of the country, so this wasn't gratuitous.
Right.
They came in and inspected the joint and said, yep, this place is clean as a hound's tooth. No infestation. Well, they were clearly wrong.
That's right.
Well, they created, and a hardship now is foisted to some degree on you because of their mistake. Now, we all make mistakes, no big deal, but you got to pay for your mistakes.
Okay.
But what I would immediately do is find out you know what the treatment is, and these same guys that made the inspection may very well want to do the treatment because they can do it themselves for $50, not the several hundred you're going to be charged because they're doing it themselves. And the other side is what's it going to cost to make the repairs that they missed. Mm-hmm. And I'd get that number before I did anything else.
Okay, great.
Good luck with it, guy.
Thank you.
I see in various different climates. You're up in Alaska. Not have to worry about termites because they can't go into the ground, and not the subterraneans because you get the frost in the ground. And I have a caller from time to time who's an attorney in Maine. He says not necessary in Maine. I don't know if that's true or not. I don't mean that he's not telling me the truth, but whether or not they can survive up there is another story. But subterranean termites can most certainly survive in many climates, in some of the colder parts of the country, and of course in the warm parts of the country. Look out. I mean, those things are just a way of life. Should we take a time out? Sure. I'm Bruce Williams. Grapevine, Texas. Hello there.
Hey, Bruce.
Hi, are you a suburb of Dallas?
Yes, right.
That's what I thought.
Fort Worth.
Sure. What's on your mind, guy?
Well, I have some money I would like to invest, and I was hoping for your guidance.
I'll give you my box number.
Yeah.
Send me a check and kiss it goodbye. What do you got in mind? What do you have in mind?
I've got $10,000, and I've got a few options that I was tossing around. My brother-in-law's an insurance agent. He's trying to get me to put it in my universal life policy.
Well, I wouldn't do that.
And that was my last option. I'm thinking about just paying my mortgage down on my house.
That's a lousy option.
And then my other option was to buy some stock and mutual funds.
That's the best option, in my opinion. How old are you?
45.
Okay, and what is the interest rate on the mortgage?
8.5.
Why would you want to give up 8.5% money in today's climate?
Well, I figure that's going to be interest I'm not paying, which...
Well, that's very true, but wait a while. Let's talk about this. Do you have any money invested elsewhere?
Just in mutual funds and...
All right, stop right there.
Okay.
How has your mutual fund done the last 12 months?
Real good.
How good is real good?
Oh, 10 to 12%.
Yeah, that's not real good. That's only okay. It's certainly not real good.
Okay.
I mean, a good mutual fund today, they're kicking out anywhere 15 to 20%.
All right.
But even at the 12%, that's 3.5% better than you were earning on the borrowed money that you got from the bank.
Right. That makes sense.
But I think you can do better than that.
Mm-hmm.
It'd be prudently invested in and I can't forecast what the market's going to do. You understand that?
Right.
But I mean, right now, 15% is not a particularly spectacular return.
Mm-hmm. But at the same time, it should be easy to get that on a decent investment.
Relatively easy.
Relative, right.
Now, if you're, and you see you're a young guy, if you said, Bruce, look, I'm 65 and I really don't like having a mortgage, I can understand that.
Mm-hmm.
And I could see the comfort level having a value. But I don't want to see you snuggling in too quick. You're too young for comfort level.
Right.
In my view. Where'd the 10 grand come from?
Oh, it was a gift.
Parents?
Mother-in-law.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's what I would do. I would go a lot more aggressively. I'd look for that. I wouldn't worry about paying a mortgage off right now.
Okay. Well, great.
I do wish you well with it, guy.
All right, bye.
Take good care. In today's world, seldom does it pay to pay off a mortgage early in today's world. The money is too cheap, and there's other things you can do with it. St. Cloud, Minnesota, hello.
Hello, Bruce.
Hello there.
Big fan of yours, and I've been a couple of your cruises, and I really appreciate you taking my call.
Well, I am delighted, and I'm happy that you go on the cruises, and perhaps we can go with us again.
Yeah, I'm thinking about maybe purchasing a laundromat in a small community that I live in.
I mean a coin-operated laundry?
Yes.
Yeah. Laundromat is a trade name.
That's true. That's right.
Okay. Is this an existing store?
Yes, it's been in existence for quite a few years.
How's it doing?
Well, they say they generate revenues in the area of $25,000 to $30,000 a year.
But when you say revenues, that means gross?
That's gross, yes.
How much can be left over?
Well, it's like I said, we're a very small community.
Well, I respect to that. I mean, I got a feeling if you open your pocket right now and look at a dollar, and I got one in my pocket, it's going to have George's picture on there.
That's true.
So percentages and dollars are the same no matter where you are. But let's talk about some numbers here. You're saying that gross is 25 to 30. What do they say it nets?
Well, they haven't showed me that yet. Right now, I've just figured out what the expenses would be and the mortgage and that.
Well, talk to me. What would the expenses be?
Well, what he's going to do is it's the building it's in would be sold to somebody else, and he'd move it across the street and build a building. And then he would be willing to take the mortgage. And he said by the time we get all said and done, we'd have approximately $60,000 into it. And figuring
$60,000 into a business is grossing 30?
Yes.
Not my $60,000.
Not that enthusiastic about it, huh?
Well, let's assume that it grosses. Now, these are your numbers. I'm not making them up. 30,000.
Sure.
Does he work there, this guy, at all?
Very little.
Who mops the floors and collects them?
He has a son that lives in town, and he opens it up in the morning and locks it up.
Okay, well then you got to pay. He's got to be paid.
Right.
How much is the rent?
He would hold the contract rent.
No, I want to know what the rent is now.
Well, he'd be paying himself.
Well, that's all right. You do pay yourself rent.
Right, and I don't know what he's taking.
But what do you figure it should be for that building?
It would.
If you went in there off the street and wanted to rent a space that size, what would rent for?
In our area, I would suppose $400 to $500 a month.
All right, let's take the low number, $400. That's $5,000 across the thing. All right, you got some fairly substantial utility bills, water and electricity because of the nature of the business, right?
I figured those out.
How much?
For all the utilities.
How much?
$6,500
a year. So now we're up to $11,500, and then we got to get the son's body or something. What do you figure he'd cost?
Well, I figured my son would take that position.
Yeah.
And about $2,400 a year.
That's $13,500, $14,000. I have no idea this number. What's the maintenance number?
Well, a lot of the maintenance he did himself, and they're fairly new machines, but that number hasn't been determined. I figured about $150 a month for just maintenance.
That's all? $2,000 a year?
Yes.
So we're at $16,000 now. Something like $16,500?
That's about where I'm at, yep.
Okay. And so we got a potential of earning about $8,000 or $9,000 with it. Oh, we didn't talk about insurance yet.
Well, I kind of had that was in insurance and taxes.
All right, so we got about an $8,000 potential, and now we got to start talking about reducing our debt.
Well,
the mortgage.
I figured that in there already.
In the $400?
No, I figured $6,500 for expenses and about $8,500 for the mortgage.
Well, we didn't get the $8,500 in our total yet. We took the $65,000. We never took the $85,000.
Right. So you take
So now we're up there. It's a wash. You're not making anything.
You end up with about $8,000.
Who does?
Well, after everything,
Not the numbers you're giving me. You don't. If you add and 8 and 6 are 14 and 5 is 19, and there's a couple of 500, there's $20,000 right there.
I got about 14,000. I figured.
Well, then we got a number in there twice. You gave me a $5,000 rent, round numbers.
Rent, I figured $8,500. That would be what I'd have to pay for rent.
Well, what happened to the $5,000? The $400 you gave me? Oh, okay, I picked that. We didn't know the answer to that.
Right.
Okay, so where are we going to go? I don't think this is a red hot deal, but it might be a nice pastime.
Well, what I figured is you're going to end up with about $8,000, $7,500, $8,000 when it's all said and done. And it'd be very little effort on my part at all.
Well, have you ever owned a business?
No, I have not.
I can tell you something. Everything I ever got into, particularly some of those where, hell, I don't have to do very much. I want to do an awful lot.
Right, absolutely.
I mean, when those machines break down or somebody, decides to put purple dye into one of your units, you got to get down there and take care of that.
That's true.
Or the lint collector didn't work and you got a minor fire in the big dryer, the extractor isn't working. You cannot afford to have somebody come out and do all that stuff.
Oh, absolutely not. You have to do a lot of that yourself.
You got to do it yourself.
And he's willing to show me that. But I was just wondering if with $8,000 after it's all done, would that be worth going into that kind of investment?
Well, I don't know. How much money you put down?
Well, he said that he's real flexible. He said I 5 down and he'll carry me at 8% for the rest.
For 60-odd thousand.
Right. For about 55.
He's overpriced, in my view. He's very much overpriced.
I figured that 60 is going to be for $8,000. You're only getting about 12-13% for your money.
Well, you're getting more than that because you're only investing $5,000.
That's true.
But you're also investing your time. It wouldn't have any interest to me.
Okay.
I think it's just overpriced. The other question we didn't address very quickly is there room for potential for growth here?
Well, I don't know that we expand the machines anymore, but I think he's underpriced.
Well, now that's a major factor.
Right.
If he's getting a quarter and you can get 50 cents...
Well, that's exactly the numbers. Right?
And with no attrition, that would make all the difference in the world.
That would be the first thing we do is go from a quarter to 50 cents and drive.
I'm picking numbers. You mean it costs a quarter to do a load of clothes?
That's what he charges.
Gee, most I haven't been in one of these places once or twice in the last couple of years. They're getting a buck and a half a load.
Well, we're an extremely small community.
What difference is that? You keep telling me that, but it costs no less to wash your socks.
That's true, but I mean...
Procter & Gamble doesn't give you a special price when you get the detergent.
Well, that's true. There is no other operation in town also.
But beyond that, you can't... I don't think you can do it for $50.
Right. Oh, I agree.
So maybe you got to make it $1.
You know, and in these numbers that I talked about, the girls, he claims they take money out of there, of course, every week on their own. So.
You mean they're stealing?
Yes.
Skimming?
Yes.
Which is very possible.
And that I can't determine. Or they show me, I believe them, but I can't go by that.
I would think not. So, everybody who sells a business that handles a bunch of cash is always giving you the wink in the elbow.
Sure.
And I don't want you to say, I'd wink right back. Now let me see a tax return. I don't care what you can.
And that's all I'm working by.
Right, but
I think there's room.
But the thing that we just covered just now is the key. It took me a long time to either get it out of you or both. But the fact that he's very definitely underpriced. I can't imagine anybody charging a quarter for a load of clothes today.
Right. And that's
most places about $1.50.
Right. Right.
Well, I think you could probably, I don't know, but it would seem to me that the market ought to support $1.
Oh, we're way under the neighboring communities.
Well, if that was the case, then you'd increase your volume, if everything stayed equal, to 100,000 from 25,000. Right. Now you got something.
That'd be true.
Be an entirely different picture. All the stuff I said, throw away.
Mm-hmm.
Because that would be worthwhile.
Okay. Well, that's the first thing I do.
Well, we got to make sure that the traffic will bear it. But listen, if that's the case, you may have something worthwhile here.
Okay.
Thank you for your call, guy. And it is a small community, right? I'm only kidding. Small community are large. There are certain overheads which you cannot avoid. And let's face it, the customer has to pay for all this. Somebody got to pay. And it's the customer who has to pay for all of the overhead. And if you can't make money at it, then why are you spinning your wheels? At the numbers this guy was reciting, no deal. But if he's so dramatically underpriced where you can triple or quadruple the revenue with no increase in headache, that may be worth pursuing. I'm Bruce Williams. Denver, Colorado, your turn in my world. Hello there.
Hi, Bruce. This is Kay. First, I'd like to tell you that my husband and I have enjoyed you for years. My husband, John, since we first discovered you in the Denver market.
Mm-hmm.
What I was calling you about is a few days ago you had a broadcast. A lady had called in. She had put an offering on our property. First, let me tell you, I'm both a licensed real estate agent and a licensed mortgage lender.
Mm-hmm.
She put an offering on our property, and she had been declined on her loan, and the real estate company that her escrow was sitting with, she had, I believe it was $1,500 or so in escrow with the real estate company.
Yeah.
The real estate company was refusing to give her funds back.
That's correct.
Okay.
They wanted her to sign a release so the funds could be released to the seller.
Right.
They said she was in default, and further, the reason that the mortgage was denied was because she was changing jobs and had no specific job. She was doing fill-in work at the hospital.
Proof of income.
Right, exactly so.
Right.
And the husband didn't make enough to support this deal.
Exactly.
Okay, your turn.
Right. Okay, so we're in tune. And the only reason I called is I get very upset when people don't know what to do and someone's not treating them properly. And the situation is she happened to mention to you a letter that she had received from the lender where they said that due to her job change, blah, blah, blah. And another portion of that letter, she said there was a box that was checked. And the box that she said was checked was that the loan had been withdrawn. And at the time...
The loan commitment.
She said the box was checked that the loan had been withdrawn.
Well, it'd be the loan commitment. There was no loan yet.
Right.
So it would be a commitment was withdrawn.
Actually, no.
No?
No. Here's the situation, and here's why that real estate company would hold her escrow funds, and hopefully this young lady was listening.
Go ahead.
Is that as a lender, we must send out decline letters if someone's been declined. Right. If the letter is not properly worded, if the letter says that someone has withdrawn their loan versus that they were declined, which she specified what they said.
What is the difference between the two? And what is the resultant difference?
I'll tell you the difference between the two and the result. If a loan is declined, it means that they are not able to put their financing in place. Therefore, the real estate clause that says that they should be return their escrow funds, which is in most standard...
Yeah, okay, we understand that.
Right, okay. That she would receive her funds back. The letter that she received back from the lender, unfortunately, was improperly marked that she had withdrawn the loan. If a buyer withdraws the loan, it means they did not pursue their avenues to receive financing. They, on their own, withdrew the loan.
All right, voluntarily, I understand that.
Okay.
But that's not the case here.
Well, that's what she has said about the letter.
No, without respect, let's get down to its essentials here. The reason that she was pre-approved for a mortgage.
Correct.
But then she quit her job.
Correct.
She quit her job because they were being transferred.
Correct.
And if there wasn't if there was no transfer, there wouldn't be need for a house to begin with, so this whole thing wouldn't be happening.
Well,
so that's the case. Those are the facts. She was working when she was pre-approved. She was living someplace else, and she was moving because her husband was transferred. Now those are the facts that she put forward.
Right.
Now, when she sold it,
she had mentioned this letter where
yes, ma'am. But there's something else here. It seems that you said you're a mortgage lender, right? Does not the applicant, if any material changes happens in their life, they have to go back to the lender and tell them about it before the closing?
Yes, they do.
Okay. Well, she had a material change.
Yes, she did. The reality of this is that she was declined for her loan, but that the letter that was sent didn't say she was declined for her loan. It
All right, so somebody made a mistake. Okay, so somebody made a mistake.
The lender made a mistake. Therefore, the real estate company has no right to keep her escrow money.
I don't disagree. I said that.
Right. What she needs to do is go back to her lender, have them issue a new letter. She did not withdraw her loan. She was declined.
Okay.
In order to meet the clause of the contract and receive her escrow money back.
Gotcha.
And that's it.
I appreciate it.
Okay.
Hang in,
Bruce,
sweetheart.
it's been a pleasure.
Thank you so much. The pleasure has been mine.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Who am I? I'm Bruce Williams. Oh.
I didn't hear you, Bruce.
Yes, hello there.
Oh, hi.
You're in Elgin, right?
Yes, that's correct.
All right. I didn't get a cue that time. Go ahead.
Okay. Bruce, I got a crazy idea the other night.
What kind of crazy idea?
Well, I don't know. You'll tell me how crazy it is.